Whatever the weather, nature never fails to delight. Take young Ethel. Whatever the weather, nature never fails to delight. Take young Ethel here, along with Mum Marshmallow. Ethel is a 12-week-old dairy shorthorn calf, finding her feet. She may be small now, but one day she'll be a fine countryside icon and every bit as big as Mum, embodying the heritage and charm of our rural landscape and heritage. Also charming us today, an intrepid explorer, a panel show stalwart, a colony of beavers and a stinky baron who takes centre stage in today's Best of British. It's time for Love Your Weekend. From sprawling countryside to bracing coastline to quintessential English villages nestling among fields of grazing sheep, there's so much to appreciate in our countryside, with its rich cacophony of sounds and nose-tingling scents. There really can be no better place to enjoy the simple pleasures of life. A bit like today's show, really. Coming up, from scaling Everest to swimming with a 10-foot-long Nile crocodile, is basically a real-life Indiana Jones. Ben Fogle on his latest hair-raising adventures. And it's double the fun on the farm today, or maybe double the trouble. Comedy power couple Paul Merton and Suki Webster on why spontaneity is their secret weapon. And it's like Holby City for wildlife. The group of 6-week-old fawns rescued after being found injured just 6 months ago prepare to be let back into the wild. Florist Jonathan Mosley's armed with an array of blooms to show off the beauty and spectacle of some March favourites. And whether you favour a smoky soft or a Sussex blue, Tom Sergi has the very best in cheese and wine combos. Wonder if he's got any pickled onions. Maybe even a gherkin. Ooh, or a pickled egg. But now, speaking of perfect pairings, our first guests are a match made in comedy heaven. Welcome husband and wife duo Paul Merton and Suki Webster, and a man who's smoother than a tall glass of Pinot Grigio, Ben Fogle. And I apologise for all those cheesy lines. It's always fun, because I've got a perverse sense of humour, in working out connections and things that our guests have in common. And there have been some intriguing meetings here. So when did you two meet and decide that each was the one?
We were doing a show in India, that's right,
yes.
isn't it?
We knew each other for a few years, but not properly. You know, we'd been on stage together, but never really spoken to each other much, had we?
Not much, no.
And then we went... That told me. We went to India and we were with a troupe of people and the others had left the hotel, and both Paul and I had the same stomach bug. And we met in the foyer, and I suggested that it would be a good idea that brandy and Coke would settle our stomachs.
Now, I should point out, medically, that is not a good idea. It isn't. Brandy and Coke does not settle your stomach.
But you had a good evening.
It was fun,
We had a good evening.
Yeah.
But the thing was, there was a cabaret going on in the
Yes.
hotel, and there was a magician. It was the opposite of close-up magic, because he was about 500 yards away.
Doing close-up magic.
And he wasn't lit. And every so often, you'd hear go, ta-ta! And we couldn't see what he was doing. So the combination of him and the brandy and each other was hysterical, wasn't it?
Yes, we heckled this poor magician. But they were very positive horses. We were just going, yes! Even though we could see nothing.
So he needed encouragement.
Yes, the man's in league with the devil.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, brilliant. And you met Marina walking the dog, didn't you?
I did, yes. I had a Labrador, Inca. She was my luxury item when I'd been on that show, Castaway, 25 years ago. And I was walking in Hyde Park, as I did every day, and one day I spotted this really beautiful dog. And then I spotted the dog's owner and realised that she was quite beautiful as well. For days, I wanted to kind of bump into her. So I hid in a tree with my dog, and then I would kind of throw her out when I saw my wife.
Did you have a sort of Leslie Phillips moment? Hello.
Yes. But yes, we met, and we've been together ever since.
Didn't your parents have a strange meeting?
Yes, yes. I was reminded about this a few minutes ago. I'd forgotten it. My father was a patient in the hospital, and my mother was a nurse. And my father was always fond of telling people that the two of them had met in bed. And actually, that's how it did happen. He was sort of like I'm sure there's probably a rule about nurses not going out with patients, but somehow my dad's charm got past that. And yeah, so they met, and if they hadn't have met, this would be a bit boring because I wouldn't be here.
And interestingly, my parents met in similar circumstances, but slightly
sharing
different.
a bed with my dad.
Not quite that. But my father, still a practicing vet, saw my mother as a patient. Well, her dog, to be specific.
Yes.
A golden. That would be really weird.
It would be, yes.
A golden retriever who'd swallowed a balloon, and they met. Mum was performing on stage and invited Dad to see her in the theatre, and they got together. So they also met in unusual circumstances,
Yes.
not in bed with your dad.
No, but brought together by a balloon.
But brought together by a balloon or a dog.
Yeah.
Ben, you're about to do a one-man called Wild. Do you need any tips?
These are the experts. I mean, I have been touring now for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So I started about 4 years ago, and it really is out of my comfort zone. Although my mother's an actress, so maybe I was born with the kind of the performing genes. It's still a very different discipline to lots of my travel, where I'm in far away, remote places. And all mine is very solitary. It is one-man touring. And actually, I found the first 2 years or so actually quite difficult. It was incredibly nerve-wracking. Big paying audience. I owe them to give them a really good show. And actually, last year's that I did about 30 performances, sell out. And actually, I got such an amazing reaction from people, because what I wanted to do was to translate my travel into something that people could actually take something away, something hopeful,
And that's
something
not easy.
optimistic. No,
Do you
it's
have visuals? Do you have sort of
I do,
slides and stuff?
but I didn't want to turn it into a geography
No.
Yeah.
class, and that I think was one of my real worries. I wanted to make it really immersive, really theatrical, because we're in proper big theatres, which is beautiful in itself. I almost all of those theatres my mother has performed on before, so there is something exciting. But I know I'm going to get some tips from these guys.
Do you do questions
later.
and answers?
I do, actually, and people are hilarious. People ask brilliant questions, so I've really enjoyed that bit. Yeah.
I did one in Eastbourne once, and there was an old lady in the audience who said, "What do I do to get my hippeastrum to flower?" So I said, "Well, after it's bloomed the first time, you let it die down, and you put it in the airing cupboard for a bit, and it will initiate the flower body in the base of the bulb." And I went back 2 years later, and to this same lecture group in Eastbourne, and a little old lady put her hand up in the audience. She said, when you came in last, a couple of years ago, you told me about getting my hippeastrum to flower, and you said, put it in the airing cupboard. So I said, yes, that's right, thinking it wouldn't be what. She said, when do I take it out? Stupid boy, I'd forgotten that bit of information.
You remind me of the story that I think it's Judi Dench who talks about when she was in repertory theatre in the late 50s. And in repertory you've got different parts every week. So sometimes you've got small parts, sometimes you've got a larger part. And one week she had quite a small part. In the next week she had a larger part, and she was stopped by two women. It may have been Eastbourne again. And they said to her, "Oh, you thought of more to say this week, didn't you?" The idea of actors on stage thinking of, what can I say?
It's not been a good week. Well, thank you very much for coming. Lovely to have your company. We'll chat to all three of you a little
Yes,
bit
thank you.
later on.
Thank you.
Still ahead, how to harness our spring blooms in a sustainable way. Don't miss Horace Jonathan Mosley's mesmerising showcase of seasonal flowers. And ready for their close-up, Mr DeMille, are rare breed short-horn cows, Marshmallow and Ethel, a couple of bovine beauties currently having a hoof about in our rather soggy paddock. I'll see you with the cows and much more right after this.
You love a performance. Karcher loves clean. Love your weekend. Sponsored by Karcher.
Jen, for your birthday, let's go glamping!
Wait for me!
Oh, better get a Travel Lodge. Travel Lodge. Travelodge.
For great value, king-size comfort. Better get a Travelodge.
How's biz, Ash?
Great, especially with the help of Xero accounting software. I can keep my cash flow flowing by giving customers more ways to pay.
Xero with an X!
That's very impressive, Angela.
Oh, my smart meter display. Oh, yes, thanks to my smart meter, my energy company rewards me when I move my energy use to off-peak times. That's when I do the laundry. I do the gardening off-peak, too.
Oh, so it pays to be flexible, Angela.
It all helps, Albert.
Get rewarded for using energy flexibly, only with a smart meter.
Play Happy Tiger Bingo for the most awesome bingo winning experience with the chance to win $2.5 grand.
What a friend does, what a friend does to you. Through and through.
That caring friend. Every heart deserves one. Benecol, proven to lower cholesterol.
With Virgin Media, get smooth, lightning-fast M125 broadband for under £24 a month and no setup fee. Switching is simple. You do nothing and we'll handle everything for you. Virgin Media. See what you can do.
Join us at the Ideal Home Show in partnership with Laradoute Interiors for a great day out. Explore the latest trends in home and garden to help create your ideal living space. Hear from experts, shop from hundreds of brands, discover an event full of ideas and inspiration. Show starts Friday the 21st of March to the 6th of April at Olympia, London. Book tickets now at idealhomeshow.co.uk.
If you won't do it for you, do it for your grandchild, who's mad you didn't hear her joke.
Book a free hearing test at bootshearingcare.com.
LV have always made it simple for me to get great value car insurance.
So I can get their cover from just £315.
And if I'm hit by an uninsured driver, I will lose my no-claim discount.
Because insurance is simple when it's me and LV. Get your car insurance quote today. Go direct to lv.com.
Are you expecting anyone?
It's a safe house, sheltering, protect a witness and his family.
Is that your witness, Liz?
No, it's a cop. I work with him.
My gut tells me you're hiding something.
Don't trust anyone. Protection starts next Sunday at 9 on ITV1 and ITVX.
You love takeaway. Karcher loves clean. Love your weekend. Sponsored by Karcher.
Welcome back to Love Your Weekend. Coming up, Confessions of an Adventurer. Ben Fogle on everything from hunting in the Congo to scaling Mount Everest, and now his greatest challenge, journeying here to Manor Farm. I mean, the terrain's pretty squelchy at the moment. Just check out the paddock here. And if you fancy the freshness and lushness of a silky Chardonnay with a creamy brie, or the bite of Pinot Noir with sharp cheddar, this is the place to be. Tom Sergi celebrates perhaps two of the greatest things on the earth, wine and cheese. Is there anything in life more delightful than a cheese board? Not for me. But before that, it's time to meet some very special guests. The Dairy Shorthorn is a beautiful, rare breed of cattle that evolved in the late 18th century in the northeast of England. As their name suggests, they're specialists in milk and are all about quality over quantity. Cows after my own heart. Known for their attractive appearance and gentle temperament, the females are known to make good mothers, as Marshmallow here proves. Here to tell us more, Marshmallow and her calf Ethel's owner, dairy farmer Matthew Elphick. Matthew, you're very welcome. Dairy Shorthorn, not a horn in sight.
No, that's right. We do dehorn them, just
Yeah.
for safety reasons, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, as the name suggests, they would have fairly small horns.
But beautiful colour.
Yes.
It's glorious colour. We'll
Yeah.
try and have a wander. We'll try and keep them corralled over here. Now, before we talk too much more about them, I want to talk about you because you're a first-generation farmer, which always cheers me up no end, does me heart good when people come into it, but not from a farming family.
No, that's right. Yeah, me and my partner Betsy, we're both first generation. We rent our little farm in Surrey from the Countryside Regeneration Trust, and we've been tenants there since 2017.
Now, cattle in particular take a lot of flack from those who think we shouldn't have cows all over the countryside. You, however, have got this regenerative style of farming. Tell us about it. What do you do?
Yeah, that's right. They get a bit of a lot of bad press, cows, but it's not the cow, it's the how. It's how we farm them. And so farming regeneratively like this, we're really mimicking a herd of wild herbivores. So we're moving the cows regularly, we're not overgrazing, and we're grazing in a way that really promotes and encourages biodiversity.
How are you managing the grazing then? How often do you move them?
We move them every day.
Every day?
Every day. I mean,
to fresh pasture?
That's right, yeah. So we split the farm up into about 30 paddocks. So each paddock is going to get a rest for 30 days. That enables the plants to have a natural life cycle, to flower, to seed.
So it is allowing that pasture to regenerate for 30 days after just being grazed for one. But of course it's been manured over that period of time. You're then getting the insects coming in for the manure. How is it affecting the health of your cattle?
It's really positive because we can use the natural ecology rather than have to use man-made inputs. So with things like the insects, you know, particularly like dung beetles and that sort of thing, and other beetles and insects that live in dung, they're our sort of nature's...
They're breaking it all down and...
They're breaking it down, but they're nature's parasite control as well. So they're reducing our worm burden and our fly burden and that sort of thing.
So you don't have to worm them?
We don't worm them, we don't use insecticides like pour-on fly repellents.
Yeah.
And that, you know, if we did that, those insects couldn't thrive in the soil. We're trying to use the ecology, the insects, but also plants as well. So plants like bird's foot trefoil have natural anti-worming qualities. We're really looking for no inputs at all in our farming method system.
You're a soil man, I know.
Yeah.
I've been reading the fact that just making sure that you're a great custodian, a steward, if you like, of the land.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's so important, the soil. I mean, it's very relevant for us at the moment because we're wanting to create a landscape where the CO2 can be taken out of the atmosphere down into the soil where it's beneficial, it's going to feed soil microbes. So that's what it's about, feeding the soil rather than feeding the plants. But also it's affecting our health because our food is only as good as the soil in which it's derived. And also it dictates whether or not we have a healthy functioning ecosystem.
Dairy Shorthorns, managing the way you do, can you make a living at it?
We can. The important thing for us, because we're such small scale, is we are processing the milk ourselves. So we're not sending it off to a bigger dairy to go into supermarkets and that sort of thing. We're using all the milk to make cheese and yoghurt at the moment.
How much goes to calf and how much for processing?
How we manage that is we leave cow and calf together for the first few weeks, and then we start just slightly restricting it. So we'll take the calf away overnight, and then in the morning we'll milk the cow on 3/4. We'll leave 1/4 for the calf, and then we'll let them together and they'll spend the day together.
So milking once a day?
Milking just once a day.
Rather than twice, which
Yeah.
is the customary morning and evening.
That's right.
Quite long-lived, I gather, and can be in calf for quite a long time, too.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. They've certainly got a good longevity, this breed, but about 15 they could happily keep milking.
From your point of view, is this something you'd recommend to other people to come into?
I hope so, yeah. I mean, there's no reason why... We're obviously doing it on a small scale, but there's no reason this couldn't be upsized, and I think people care about this now. People care about how their food is reared and where it comes from. There's a lot of environmental benefit to this and obviously welfare. So we want a cow that can thrive outside for as much of the year as possible and can milk and be healthy and fertile just eating grass, really. We do feed a small amount of concentrated feed, but other than that, we're predominantly a pasture-based diet.
There must be a great deal of personal satisfaction for you in knowing that you've got this cycle working, the moving daily for grazing, the manure, the insect life, the wildlife being cared for as well, and then these two great-looking beauties here, one cow and a calf. They're having a bit of exercise now.
Yeah.
We're having to just keep them corralled in this corner. But the great job satisfaction.
Oh, it is, definitely.
You're glad you came into farming?
I am, yeah. It's hard work. There are some hard old days, but you, as you say, you get a lot of job satisfaction for it. It's a nice way of living. Although there is some hard old days, I don't regret it. I don't regret it. Yeah.
Spring's coming, summer's
It is,
coming,
yeah. The end's in
best time
sight.
of year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Lovely to have you with us. Thanks so
Thank
much,
you.
Matthew.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, Marshmallow. Oh, they're having a little snack now. And Ethel. Just going to stay out with the cows, really. Still ahead, as spring approaches, we're having fun with florals, and no, that's not a comment on Jonathan's wardrobe. Jonathan Mosley here with an array of seasonal blooms. And he's the very model of a modern-day explorer with a career spent embedding himself in exotic and remote locations. Ben Fogle on swapping the Sahara for Stevenage and the Amazon for Aberdeen. I'll see you with Ben and much more right after this.
You love adventure. Karcher loves clean. Love your weekend. Sponsored by Karcher.
Bingo! He's got a Mecca house. Get in, Helga. All right, steady on, lads. Looking at this lot, I'd keep that win under your pelt, mate. Mecca Bingo. Legends of play since back in the day.
I'll be there. And there. And there. I'll be by their side on the boat and at the station when they launch.
Because I have left the RNLI a gift in my will.
My gift equips and trains them to brave the waves and gives them the strength to save lives again and again.
They won't stop, and my gift will keep them safe. Will you keep them safe too? Leave a gift in your will to the RNLI. Be their protection at sea.
As a charity, the RNLI depends on gifts in wills. In fact, 6 out of 10 launches are only possible thanks to these gifts. So please request your free guide and find out how you can create a life-saving legacy. Your gift will always be remembered because your name will be added to the side of a lifeboat, so you'll be there on every rescue. Search RNLI Wills to receive your free guide to gifts in wills. Thank you.
"100 everyday heroes.
Let's go.
Play stupidly. Simple games. But only one gets to leave with 25 grand.
I don't get it!
The only rule is...
Don't come last.
What's just happened?
This game is brilliant. I love this show.
99 to Beat. Coming soon on ITV1 and ITVX.
It's going to be a month of big hits on ITVX.
The 2025 Guinness Six Nations. If he gathers, he'll score.
You seem a bit upset at these questions.
It's in connection with a murder investigation.
I see you bounce these picks.
A bad month would be 10,000. People want big.
Big hits, big revelations, big money. This month on ITVX.
Her name's Hannah Dawson, 22. A body was found at Glasson Dock.
They're a divided family.
She's my daughter too.
It was up close. It was intimate.
This is about having a go at the police.
Well, we threw fuel on that fire.
It won't be my head on the block.
That young life, you just snuffed it out.
Brand new series, The Bay, continues tonight at 9 on ITV1 and ITVX.
You love funny. Karcher loves clean. Love Your Weekend. Sponsored by Karcher.
Welcome back to Love Your Weekend. Coming up, we all like a happy ending. How the dedicated staff of one wildlife rescue centre are preparing to say an emotional goodbye to some dear friends as they begin a new life in the wild. And have they got views for you, Paul Merton and Suki Webster, on the funny side of life, love and marriage. But first, my next guest first shot to fame 25 years ago when he appeared on Castaway 2000. Being marooned on the remote Scottish island of Taronsay for an entire year was just the beginning for Ben. Since then, he's swum with crocodiles, crossed Antarctica, raced across the Sahara, and even climbed Mount Everest.
There's the summit.
Those last few steps. The dream, the hope, the fear, the pain.
It's cool, I know.
The elation.
I am on the roof of the world. 8,848 meters on the summit of Everest. You know what? I dreamed of this as a child. I never thought I'd actually stand here.
So did you then have a good weep? Because to go through that mentally and physically, and the emotion that you must have felt at the top, being in a place that, so, in relative terms, so few people have been.
For me, Everest was so much more than just that moment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the heroic moment of, you know, being able to celebrate getting halfway, by the way, because what goes up must come down. So the hardest bit is actually the descent. But it was the culmination of so many dreams, so many kind of hopes that I'd had through my life. And for me, it remains probably of all the things I've done, and I've done quite a few. You mentioned a couple of them at the beginning. I think it remains the thing I'm proudest of, but also the thing that changed me the most. It changed me in so many different ways.
How?
I think it made me humbler, it made me a better person, it kind of made me a more thoughtful person. I think what it really did for me, it put everything into perspective. You know, when you're standing on, you know, the highest point on earth, one of very few people to have done it, having faced death straight on, you know, the line between life and death is pretty visceral there. But on a positive, when you look at that mountain range stretching out hundreds of miles, no sign of humanity, there's something very powerful that changes you forever. You know, we talk about it, you know, Everest was nothing compared to those that walked on the moon, but the men that walked on the moon have all talked about the life-changing experience that had on them of seeing Earth from afar. And in some ways, I think climbing Everest was a pretty profound moment for me.
The famous answer to the question, why do you want to do it, is because it's there. But why do you persist in putting yourself through things which are known to be the highest tests of endurance, the things where things are likely to go wrong, basically the greatest chance of dying? With everything you do, it's high risk. Why? What makes you do it? You've got a wife, you've got a family, you know, you love your family, you're a family man. Why are you driven to do this? What is it in the Fogel brain that makes you do it?
Well, I suppose in the same way, what gives you the passion for flowers and for gardens?
It's not quite so dangerous.
You're right. Well, that depends where you're doing it. But you're right. But I think for me, funny enough, the danger is not, you know, danger is all relative to our own perspectives. And remember, danger is also down to how much planning and preparation you have put in.
So, yeah, but Everest has got the better of many people who planned.
You are quite right there. I think, you know, not want to sound too cliched, but life is about the journey, not just the destination.
But also there must be times of real fear.
Of
I
course.
mean, genuine fear, knowing, have I really bitten off more magnitude? Have I really done it this time? Is this a bridge too far?
I agree, you don't, and I'm certainly not encouraging people to all go off and row oceans or do some of the things I do, but I think you should confront those fears. And those fears, by the way, might be trying to plant a brand new type of thing in your garden that you've never experimented with before. It might be standing on a stage when you suffer stage fright. I think there are many things that make us all individual, and the fears are one of them.
You also go out of your way to meet other like people who've done things. New Lives in the Wild is a fascinating series because you meet these people who are living extraordinary lives.
Anytime I can stick it to the man in a small way, I do.
Could you start your life all over again? Leave behind everything you know for something completely different?
It's like, I guess we live in a bit of a pressure cooker.
I'm Ben Fogle, and over the next few weeks, I'm going to live with the incredible people who've done just that.
Did you ever feel like abandoning the property?
No, it's my home.
Would you say you enjoy the companionship of animals more than people?
Probably, yeah.
In some of the most remote places on Earth.
This is why I love the wilderness.
I'll discover their motivations.
For me, it was just, yeah, you're born, you go to school, you work all life, and then you die.
The challenges.
There's no way that I was going to put my wife and my children in that house, the condition that it was in.
Just make sure there's absolutely no electrical current down there.
And find out what it takes to make a new life in the wild.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Well, not only have you been doing that, but you're also going on tour to do Wild, which presumably feeds on that and explains to your audience in theatres across the land exactly what I'm asking you about. Why do you do it? And what are these people like? But great courage, that's the one common thing through that, in saying, I am going to do this, rather like you did. You admire that?
Of course I admire it, and it's kind of facing their fears, because I think many of us take on a status quo in our lives that, you know, this is the model that we want to follow. And you heard in you know, some of the examples there of people that want to break free from that kind of the prescription of life that many of us are following. So I really admire them. Some of the stories that I've been able to explore over the years, I wanted to bring them all together in something that was sort of uplifting and maybe give people some hope and some inspiration, because I think there's quite a lot of negativity in the world. You know, it's what I love about you, Alan, is that you're so positive, and you've always been a really sunny person on television. I think we can both agree there's a bit of television that maybe isn't quite like that. And the world is quite a heavy place right now. So what I really want to do is bring all the sunny people that I've met and all the really good stories and all the hopeful things and pull all that together and try and lift people's spirits, because, you know, there's a lot to drag people down, I think, right now.
As indeed it did you some time ago. Can you put your finger on why it happened, that you had this real struggle mentally?
I think like everyone, I overburdened myself. I put too much pressure on myself. I was overworking, and for someone who has always advocated a simpler life and trying to steer clear of those things, I fell into one of those traps. And it was I describe it as kind of a blip, a storm in my life that I was able to move through. And the reason I'm always happy to mention it or talk about it is that I think we do need to remove a stigma, because I think even those who have the strongest mental and physical abilities are susceptible.
You've proved that. I mean, you've done things that are way beyond most mortals' compass that couldn't do that. And yet, you did in effect then find the limit of your abilities mentally and physically when it went pop, as it were.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, I'm in admiration of our brains. I can recall probably hundreds of different journeys now over the years, all the encounters I've had. I could tell you everyone's names. Isn't it amazing what the brain can do? But it can also be quite nefarious, and it can be quite mischievous.
Obviously not a simple answer, but how did you get over it? How did you work through? Is there a technique that you can briefly, obviously, share that says, how do you come away from that kind of level of lowness?
Well, I think it's acknowledgement is the first thing, you know, to acknowledge that maybe you need a bit of help. I sought some professional help, and then I kind of went out on my own. So I certainly followed professional advice, but I've always been very self-analytical. I think I've always understood my brain more than any other part of my body, and I knew what I had to do. I had to slow down. I was doing too much.
You're also not single. You know, you've got a wife to think about, family to think about, Ludo. Do you sometimes feel guilty that they're shortchanged because you're doing your thing and they happen to be there.
Yeah, that was all, but you could be my therapist. That was, of course, all part of it, a guilt of being away. And I, you know, over the years, I've sort of justified it by saying it's my job, for a start. It's kind of what I've made a career. It would be quite hard to eke my way out of this. Of course I could. There's other jobs I could perhaps try, but I love my job. But I've cut back on lots of the work. I've spent so much time with my family. I take off every single day of the holidays that they have now.
They're now saying to you, get out,
They
go.
are so bored of me now. So bored of me, but I love it. And, you know, I think to go back to this idea that life is the journey, not just the destination, I've got to enjoy everything I have rather than constantly chasing the next thing. And that's the advice I give to people. It's what I share on the stage in my show. New Lives in the Wild, I've done for 13 years now or so. I've spent time with 150 people, couples, families all over the world, and I've learnt so many lessons from them. And the one thing I've taken away from everything I've done, all the adventures, all the encounters with people that I've brought to the show, is just how to try to find that contented happiness in your life.
And I think if you can find a moment in every day where you are somewhere, wherever, even if it's very familiar, it might just be looking out of your window at a tree or going to stand up by a tree, in my case, or whatever, and just hold that moment while you're there and think, this is reality. This is what it's all about, which is why I love the outdoors and why I love gardening, because it's constant. It is literally grounding. When all the mayhem of the world's going on around you, just go out there, be with that bit, and it's still there, even if it's at the top of Everest.
Yeah, it's really grounding, and I think we all need to reconnect with nature because we are nature.
Your Sunday morning therapy session has come to you courtesy of Ben Fogle and Alan Titchmarsh, and the tour's starting this month in March in a town or a city near you. Thank you, Ben.
Pleasure.
Lovely. You'll partake of the cheese and wine.
I can't wait.
Okay. I'm glad. Lovely to talk to you.
Likewise.
Thanks for sharing so much. Now, breathtaking landscapes of the kind we've been talking about, beautiful wildlife shots and nature's finest features. You know that what we've been talking about makes sense because your cameras have been busy. It's time to roll out the green carpet and showcase the stunning snaps that you captured in Walk on the Wild Side. Camera never lies, but it does remind us to look more closely at our surroundings. Please do keep sending them in. We do love them, and I think you do too. Coming up, a homage to fromage. Do you remember when cheddar cheese cubes and pineapple chunks on sticks were the height of sophistication? We've come such a long way in the last 50 years. Tom Surge's here with the very best in what's hot and what's not in the world of cheese and wine pairings. Also coming up, deer, kingfishers and fish, as you've never seen them before. We'll meet the veterinarian turned artist, inspired by his love of wildlife. Avneet Chima, sharing his passion for all creatures great and small, right after this.
You love muddy walkies. Karcher loves clean. Love your weekend. Sponsored by Karcher.
Please be okay. How are you? Hi. Gonna be okay. Someone's coming.
Oh, oh, George, can you hear me?
It's gonna be okay.
What's your
I
name?
wasn't going that fast.
I need you to stay still for me. I'm just going to support your head.
He just came out. No,
Try and stay still. How fast were you going?
24, 25.
Okay, stay with me.
No.
Keep your eyes open.
He's
Stay
the
with
guy,
me.
is he? Oh, sorry. I was only going a bit over.
Speeding injures or kills over 1,000 people in London every year. Slow down, because every journey matters.
Twitter, woohoo! Fiona and Craig are dancing like nobody's watching. Because nobody is watching. They're enjoying the freedom of being window-wise. As soon as they moved, they got in touch with Hillary's and got their windows sorted. Just imagine if they'd put it off, though. Oh dear. Oh, no, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing right away. Hillary's for the window-wise.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. Book now with just a £60 deposit per person and go for as long as you like with our flexible durations. Jet2 Holidays. Package holidays you can trust. Aptronat protected.
That's a proper kip. Sleep on, snoring beauty. Here's Annalise with the crease. Those pillows did the job. Get better sleep for your money. Premier Inn.
When they mean the world to you, having Pet Plan Pet Insurance can help you get them the best care. Save 10% when you sign up at petplan.co.uk.
People's Postcode Lottery's big spring win is back.
Yes, in the April draws, you and your neighbours could win a share of
£25.4 million! Own or rent, if your door is in the draw, you're in with a chance to win.
Could your door be a winning one?
Sign up before midnight on the 31st of March.
A share of £25.4 million must be won. So,
is your door in the draw?
I just put nearly all my life savings down on a car. Not got a whole lot of spare cash at the moment.
Why don't you use Carmoola? It's a great way to pay for a used car. Call-in app, it takes minutes, you pay monthly.
Carmoola? Why would I need that?
Breaking news. Young man captured by pirates for ransom demanding money.
Hey, isn't that your son? Why pay any other way? Carmoola, the future of car finance.
Join us at the Ideal Home Show in partnership with Laradoute Interiors for a great day out. Explore the latest trends in home and garden to help create your ideal living space. Hear from experts, shop from hundreds of brands, discover an event full of ideas and inspiration. Show starts Friday the 21st of March to the 6th of April at Olympia, London. Book tickets now at idealhomeshow.co.uk.
And for Eddie Howe's men, this is magical. And Liverpool turned it around. That should finish it. And a goal to release the tension. Liverpool off to their second home in pursuit of another League Cup.
Carabao Cup final next Sunday at 3:30 on ITV1 and ITVX.
You love Mr. Fluffy. Karcher loves clean. Love your weekend. Sponsored by Karcher.
Welcome back to Love Your Weekend. Lots more to come today, including a comedy double act, who are also a perfect match. Husband and wife Paul Merton and Suki Webster reveal why they're all smiles both on stage and off. And small but mighty, adorable but with a bit of a bite and loving nothing more than making a splash. We follow a colony of the cutest beaver kits in this week's Small Wonders with Leslie Joseph. But first, it's time for your Voice of Nature. And today, it's the turn of Jane Asher and Crocuses by Anna M. Platt.
A kind voice calls, "Come, little ones, 'tis time to wake from sleeping." And out of bed without a word, the drowsy folk come creeping. And soon above the chilly earth, their tiny heads are peeping. They bravely face the wind of March, its bite and bluster scorning, like little soldiers, till, oh joy, with scarce a word of warning, the crocuses slip off their caps and give us gay good morning.
Thank you, Jane. Crocuses, a symbol of cheerfulness and a joy each spring when they bravely push up and open their flowers in the sun. Now, my next guest is a fellow Yorkshireman who lives something of a double life. A full-time vet by day, he spends his evening creating magnificent animal-inspired sculptures. Here to tell us how on earth he manages to fit it all in. It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Avneet Cheema. Avneet, welcome. And I gather you've just passed another exam in the veterinary world.
Yeah, I think the journey of learning just is ongoing.
So what was the exam?
The exam was in diagnostic imaging, and it was hell.
But you got it.
I did. I just had some news that I passed. Thank the Lord. Yeah, it's done. Bring on more, I guess. I don't think you can end it.
No, it's the same as gardening, same as horticulture. Always something new coming on. New techniques.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, there's one technique you clearly mastered and you need no further examinations in, and that's this astonishing array of sculptures and paintings that we've got here.
Thank you.
All, you know, wildlife and wildlife inspired. Was it always art as well as wanting to be a vet?
Always. Ever since I was 2, I was drawing, and I suppose I knew how to do science, and that's kind of what led me here, I guess.
In a way, rather like Stubbs had animals dissected, horses dissected, so he could see the musculature in order to paint them.
Many great artists have used that technique, and veterinary was a great insight into animal physiology and anatomy.
Yeah.
So it really benefited
So the one
journey.
feeds off the other, in a way. Now, tell us what you've got. I mean, we've got fish over there.
Yeah.
Made out of what?
They have a wire skeleton, but then they're somewhat embellished with ceramic, and then they're painted, as it were.
But it's a combination of several different media, then, really, different materials.
The idea behind them is to also break up sculpture a little bit. It's not an exact replica. I want the viewer and the audience to feel the movement of the creature rather than just see it.
Well, do you know, that's no one more evident than down here when I look at these two kingfishers. Now, when you see what's there and what's not there, and your eye fills in the rest.
That's the idea.
Yeah?
I'd like people to feel it and imagine it for themselves rather than just give them an end product.
Well, and down here, I mean, this is... What have we got here? We've got... it's a young deer. It
is a young deer. That's exactly what it is.
But you've got there... What sort of material on that? We've got wire, obviously.
There's wire, there's real leaves, there's preserved flowers and sticks and ceramic and pulp, so it's very mixed media, let's say.
And the artworks, the two-dimensional ones, we've got puffins, we've got fish.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
What material are you working in with those? I know these are copies of what you've done, but what kind of paint?
They're acrylic.
Yeah.
So they're acrylic pieces. I think this piece now lives in Skipton.
Yeah.
And the fish, that now lives in far north Queensland in Australia.
In
now,
Australia,
which is nice.
they're far-flung then, your works. I do love, I mean, the simplicity of those robins there. Now, that is a few lines.
It's the same subject, but repeated in 6 different ways, all in different positions, and it's just to celebrate how special they look in every angle.
Let's look at how you do this, because you've got a kingfisher here.
Yes.
You've got a soldering iron over there.
Yeah.
What happens next here, then?
Well, we're going to get stuck in and explore that. So we've got a few different things to look at. So when I make kingfishers, I try to keep away from using things like resins to create the idea of water. I like the idea of something that's metallic. He's taken out of the water, and the idea is to put a few drops of solder onto the body just to mimic the water droplets as they leave its plumage.
Now, I know there's stuff here for me to have a go with.
Yes.
I think people at home, much more interesting in seeing you do it than me mess it up. So show us what you do then with your drops of water.
So we have a very hot solder here. So just for safety reasons, I've got you a...
Oh, right, OK. I won't get too close anyway.
We need to keep it safe. We've got a hot soldering iron
Soldering
here.
iron. Because my dad was a plumber, so I've seen soldering irons all my life.
Well, you might recognise this kind of solder, so
Yeah.
it's one that doesn't rust, or it kind of maintains that lovely, shiny, metallic look. So the end of it isn't lovely and hot, and all I'm looking to do is just melt that, just the end of it, and that there just mimics a water droplet. And as that dries onto the brick, that's what we'll use to create water droplets.
So how do you get them from there?
We'll mix a little bit of glue, and then we'll get them,
you
we'll
just
get them
drop
stuck
them
on.
on.
Absolutely. It is very calming. The practice itself doesn't have a time deadline, or you know, it's very relaxing. And I mean, the two main things that
Let's go with what you've got.
Yeah, should we go with
we'll
that?
be here
Oh,
all
then.
afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably a good idea.
Take these off. Put your glasses on, then you can see.
There we go.
Right, now let's get these on here then. See what we do. Look at this. While you're doing that, I just got to show this. Look, simple piece of wire. And you start with 2D and then make it up to 3.
Absolutely.
I recognise this 2-part epoxy resin. I use this quite a lot at home.
Yeah,
Yes.
I try and keep it to an absolute kind of minimum, really, because it's not the best thing for the environment.
Oh, I never
just
thought of doing
works in the
that. I use
tiniest-
more matchsticks doing this than
Oh,
you
yeah.
believe.
Who is?
You want to wipe that
Yeah,
now,
I do,
don't
do.
you? Hang on a minute.
Have you got something?
Look at that.
Oh wow, organised.
Just to show.
Thank you
Tissue
very
in
much.
your pocket. Yeah.
Well, now that you're holding them.
Oh, am I?
Yeah,
Where do
go
I?
for it.
Oh, right. Dip them. Where do I put them on? Though?
Well, I'll tell you what. Grab whichever one you want.
Yeah,
Dip
yeah.
it in the dip it in there,
epoxy,
and then
yeah.
wherever you think it'll look good.
What, on a wing? On
Give it a go, see if
out
it'll
there.
stay.
See if it'll stay on there.
Try again.
Yes. All right.
Try a blue
All
there.
right. I'm determined. I'll put it there.
Ah, lovely.
There
That's
we
a nice
are.
spot.
Now I'm quite determined to get one on the very edge of the wing.
If you want
That's
to get
the
one on
thing.
a wing, pick a bit where the wire is close and flat.
Getting there. Anyway, close and flat there.
That looks good. Yeah.
There's
give
a
that
double
go.
one there.
Yeah, give it a go.
Oh, do stay on for me.
Oh, nice. Well done.
Now give me-
Fantastic. Drops of water. That is the finishing touch.
It is a finish. There's a few more needed on there. I'll work on
Absolutely,
that
yeah,
when
well,
you've gone.
yeah,
Leave it
absolutely,
behind and
yeah.
I'll glue it. That is a delight. Avni, well done. Good luck with your veterinarianing.
Thank
you. Your works of art are absolutely lovely, and I still got a very soft spot for that very simple Robin, bless it.
Oh, thank you very much.
Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Now, as we know, the British countryside is full of wonderful native animals, all of whom somehow find their way through the changing of the seasons, from frosty winters to the occasional scorching summer day. But sometimes our wild friends do need a little help. And that's where one rescue centre in Kent comes in, nursing sick, injured or orphaned animals back to health until they're ready to be reunited to Mother Nature's care. Since our last visit, the staff have been busy preparing some deer friends for release. So let's see how they got on.
So today is the big day. After 6 months, we are finally releasing our deer fawns. I'm putting my white lab coat on, and it's to help prevent them becoming tame or associated with humans, because there's less likely to be a person in a white lab coat wandering out in the parks that they can then approach. This is a big fenced off area of woodland that we own. So they've been down here for about a month or so. The reason I'm whispering is because I can see them just in the woodlands over there. And we do our best not to talk around them because we don't want them to associate with humans. Eugenie was our first fawn. She was being chased by a dog when the finders found her. So Eugenie is our only roe. They are a particularly solitary species, and they're quite dark and very distinctive. They have little white bums. So she came into us about a week old. The other 4 are all fallows. So they're a bit larger. They're a herding species, and they're the dark colours, and they can have spots, and they have little black bums. So it's the easiest way to tell them apart. Cedar was our next fawn. She had been clipped by a car. We had Bramble. She is a special one to me. She took the most care because she'd been caught in fencing and had quite nasty wounds to her legs and her groin, which took several months worth of treatment, but she's all good now. And then we paired her up with Alder. He's our only little boy, and again he was caught in fencing as well. He had a constriction wound around his foot, a course of pain relief and antibiotics. He's good and well. And then our last little straggler was Maple. She came in late September. Little wounds on all of her knees, but they weren't too severe. This enclosure has all their natural food sources, including a little bit of holly, which we can see that they've been nibbling on the leaves just there. But when they were babies, we've been feeding them hazel, hawthorn, even some brambles. They tend to like all the spiky plants. In this natural environment, they've built up all the behaviours, the way they should be acting. You know, they're scared of people. If they hear loud noises, they'll scatter away. They can feed themselves, and they're very quick, so they'll be able to get away from predators. So I can see Bramble and Alder together. It's just really nice to see them still have that such strong bond with each other, and obviously adding in the others. It's just lovely to see them all like a little herd. So I've just put their scatter feed down. We scatter feed it to give them some enrichment and encourage natural behaviours, because the fallow are naturally grazing in the wild, so it's good that they can learn those skills. And we're going to back away now and hope that they come down and start foraging, and then we'll do the same by the opening in the fence. It seems such a small thing to do, but once this panel's removed, they're able to go out into the wild. Raising them for over 6 months is just it's a lot of time investment, and when they were little babies, just weeks old, they come home with me for a couple of months until they're big enough to stay on site. Quite a few of them had wounds that required daily treatment. It's been very intense, especially with Bramble. I'm going to miss them, but they're going to be where they're meant to be. And it's just, yeah. We've just come down here, and I've spotted the wild herd that we hope our fawns will join. We've seen them around over this time of morning for the past couple of weeks. We're hoping that R5 will join them. Oh my goodness. She's just come out of the woodlands and they're wandering down to the hole in the fence, which is really exciting. I think they've just run off the other way, so fingers crossed. It has been a few days since we released our deer fawns. I'm still feeling quite emotional, but I've been reviewing the camera trap footage and they're all doing really well. They're venturing further afield each day. Bramble and Alder, the two that we paired together, went off almost at exactly the same time, and everyone else slowly followed behind. One of the most surprising things that we captured was a wild male fallow who just came across the camera trap within hours of us releasing them. It's looking really positive that he may be part of that wild herd that's been around, and slowly they'll start integrating. It's amazing though to get this opportunity to make a difference to an individual animal. I just love it.
Well, thank you to everyone at Folly. And stay tuned, we'll be back in Kent next week to see more of their brilliant rescue work. Still ahead, tulips, alliums, euphorbias and irises. Don't miss florist Jonathan Mosley's mesmerising showcase of seasonal flowers, each with its own unique colour and fragrance. Jonathan Mosley and his bounty of blooms coming up right after this.
You love winning. Karcher loves clean. Love your weekend. Sponsored by Karcher.
That's very impressive, Angela.
Oh, my smart meter display. Oh, yes, thanks to my smart meter, my energy company rewards me when I move my energy use to off-peak times. That's when I do the laundry. I do the gardening off-peak too.
So, it pays to be flexible, Angela.
It all helps, Albert.
Get rewarded for using energy flexibly, only with a smart meter.
If you're traveling to be surrounded by nature, don't end up surrounded by hotel. Get an Airbnb and go where hotels can't.
Sometimes it's not time for some tombola. It's enjoying lasagna time. Or time to visit your nan time. Put the phone down.
At
At Money Supermarket, our mission is to help you be better off. That's why we'll give you a £15 reward when you switch your car insurance. And when you keep saving with us on other bills, we'll give you even more rewards. See how much you could save with Money Supermarket.
With Virgin Media, get smooth, lightning-fast M125 broadband for under £24 a month. And no setup fee. Switching is simple. You do nothing, and we'll handle everything for you. Virgin Media. See what you can do.
Robbie could get an offer from another car buying site. Or sell direct to We Buy Any Car. The dealer could come to his home, then decide not to buy it. Or he could save time with a guaranteed sale and get back to his cupcakes. Proper rubbish or proper tasty. To get a quote in 30 seconds, enter your reg number now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Join us at the Ideal Home Show in partnership with Laradoute Interiors for a great day out. Explore the latest trends in home and garden to help create your ideal living space. Hear from experts, shop from hundreds of brands, discover an event full of ideas and inspiration. Show starts Friday the 21st of March to the 6th of April at Olympia, London. Book tickets now at idealhomeshow.co.uk.
Always the best music.
This is Smooth Radio.
I think my friend might be here.
The last time I saw this girl, she broke my nose.
Right, I've got all my girlies here. Let's get the party started.
The Real Housewives of Cheshire, tomorrow at 9 on ITVB and ITVX.
You love funny. Karcher loves clean. Love your weekend. Sponsored by Karcher.
Welcome back to Manor Farm. Coming up, delectable cheese, fine wine, good company. Am I in heaven? It's Manor Farm's cheese and wine party. Do you remember them? Host Tom Sergi will be bringing you the very best in cheese and wine pairings for any occasion. And let's be honest, there's always an occasion for a cheese board. Love it. And they say that the couple who laughs together stays together. So these two must have a marriage made in heaven. Paul Merton and Suki Webster on surviving on-stage surprises, motorhome mishaps and the ultimate test, married life. But first, as March rolls on and gently nudges spring to awaken, a tapestry of blooms is gradually spreading across our beautiful landscape. Bold daffodils, bright hyacinths, beautiful tulips all begin to blossom. And as this glorious scene emerges, you can't help but wonder at the beauty of our native florals, here to show us how to make the most of all that's on offer in the wild and from our florists, and how to harness our spring blooms in a sustainable way is floral designer Jonathan Mosley. Welcome, Jonathan. And what suddenly you think, oh, yes, spring is arriving.
Spring's arrived. It's
Yeah.
such a wonderful time, isn't it?
Yeah.
For flowers, I think it's one of the nicest because we've so long waited for them.
I love the subtlety of nature in that the first ones to come out, the snowdrops, which are white.
Yes.
So you get a bit of gentle, there's no colour at all,
No.
really, just white. Then the daffs yellow, and then the tulips with all the colours.
And the climax of the tulips, it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
It's anticipation and looking forward.
Absolutely, and
is
celebrating,
lovely.
and celebrating
Yeah.
what we've got to work with. Because I think the nice thing about people's connection now to flowers is they want things that have been grown locally, that haven't clocked up loads of air miles. There's a benefit to that for you as a user because they're fresher. you're buying direct from somebody who's grown them with love, with care. Often, many of these local flower farmers are growing organically, which, you know, is something that we're all passionate about, we all celebrate.
So if ever you feel powerless to do anything for the environment, which seems like such a big issue, this is a practical, pragmatic way of you doing your bit and making sure that what you do and the flowers that you buy have used as little, you know, energy as possible.
Absolutely,
you know, this is
Alan.
a sustainable way of going about it.
And also, I think, you know, certainly in our floristry world as well, you know, we're looking at ways where our flowers have been grown that's environmentally friendly, but also that workforce that's been growing them, that's been nurturing them, that they've been, you know, sort of well looked after, that they've got good working conditions. We're also looking at packaging and reducing packaging down. You know, it really troubles me. So often flowers have got so much wrapping around.
Yeah.
And years ago in floristry,
You
you
know,
know, if somebody sent a bouquet of flowers, then almost the packaging was more than the flowers.
Yeah, yeah.
It became so ridiculous.
Now, let's have a look at what you're putting in. Lambstails there. Hazel
Bit of
catkins.
catkins, good old
now,
hazel
you're using
catkins.
hellebores. Now, hellebores, I cannot get to stand upright.
They are
I
a
float
challenge.
them like water lilies, the
Yes.
individual flowers, in a bowl on the
Yes.
table. So there. Are you using the Hebe, for instance, or Veronica, as we now meant to call it,
As we
to
now
hold
rename
it up?
Well, it's sometimes good, Alan. It's a bit like us sometimes. It needs a little bit of support.
Yes.
Because hellebores can have a bit of a soft, flexible neck. But my top tip for hellebores, and you know, I may have mentioned this to you before, Alan. I think you forgot. But what I tend to do with hellebores is if you just...
That was a slap on the wrist, wasn't it? Did you get that? You what? You hellebores?
Yeah, it's a really good thing, this, to remember for hellebores. I'm going to test you next year on this.
Yeah.
If you just score gently down one side of the stem, because it's quite a thick, fleshy stem, aren't they? Rotate the stem, score down the other side, put that in deep water overnight, then these little beauties hold their heads upright.
I had forgotten that and I shouldn't have done it.
It really does work. Have a go.
Right. Knife down each side of the stem, overnight in water up to their necks.
And then they'll hold.
Well, I never.
Yeah, yeah.
It's worth tuning into this programme just for that.
But this
Look
little one,
at
Alan,
that.
I've used one of these old things, and I'm sure many viewers will have things like these perhaps in cupboards that they've forgot about, or grandma certainly will, and certainly charity shops do. But I love these things because they've already got that little sort of plastic inner there which you can hold your stems through, which
Really
is
practical.
fantastic.
'Cause
Very
that's half the
practical.
bother. I'm a bunch man. I like lovely like that.
Yeah.
And often just getting it up and come back here, you know. So that's a good way. They do stay where you put them.
They stay exactly where you put them.
Because we're stopping folk. We're trying to stop using now floral foam.
We are.
aren't we?
We're moving away from floral foam
Yeah.
stems. Things like chicken wire, and I've just got an example of that in that urn there, Alan.
yeah.
That's a copper chicken wire. People often use a plastic-coated chicken wire, but actually the tiny bits of plastic, the microparticles, eventually disintegrate off that chicken wire. It gets into the water, gets into the watercourse, gets into our rivers, it gets into our oceans. So actually just a natural chicken wire, and this copper one, this is a floristry chicken wire actually,
Right.
and it's really easy to manipulate
Quite a
and
roll.
shape.
There's a lot of it in that roll.
This
It'll last you for a long
that'll
time,
last you for a
won't it?
lifetime.
Yeah. Right, look at this. I love these tulips here in this. This is a sort of hint of the Dutch tulip vase, isn't it,
It's
really?
like a contemporary tulip
Yeah,
vase.
and you've used, is this Midwinter Fire?
It is, good
This is
old
a coreless
corners.
Midwinter Fire. I love the fact that it's darker on the side. Can I just show that? I'm going to take it out, forgive me.
Take a piece
it's
out.
darker on the side where the sun hits it than the side which is shady. So look, you get this bicolour effect.
It's so beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? Yellow on one side and red on the other. I think it's that way around. I think it's red on the sun. You'll
But
find
great
out,
for autumn colour as well in the garden,
Yeah,
Alan. It's such
but
a
we're
useful
about
plant.
almost to prune them down.
We
now,
are,
aren't we? Really hard.
But
and
when
the
I
new
prune
growth.
them, I save them. I save all that twiggy congestion.
Yeah.
And this is from last year, Alan, when I was doing some fruit tree pruning in winter time. I save all the apple branches, all the pear branches, all the plums, damsons. And I know that looks a bit of a monstrosity in its raw state here, but I create things like this, and then when we're doing arrangements in containers, you can just pop that into your container and then just take a flower, and actually this
Push it
acts as a
through.
natural mechanic, and it will just hold your flower in place.
Amazing.
So you could do something quite minimalist
Yeah.
on there.
Being inventive. But that little one you've done with the hellebores, you should open that up just to see how beautiful that is. Hellebores, pussy willow. You gave me some cuttings this
I did,
last
the
year, and
pink
I rooted
one,
them,
yes,
yeah.
fantastic.
Purple Pittosporum, the glorious purple hellebores, and the Hebe, or Veronica as we now have to call it again, and the green hellebores.
The green, the
Isn't that
contrast.
gorgeous? You see, that's my idea of a perfect bunch for a kitchen table.
And it's seasonal, it's in
yeah.
keeping for now. Just like this little flowering, Alan, you can get so many of these, and I've got a collection. I must have, goodness knows, about 50, 60 pieces of these.
You're the scourge of the jumble
I'm
sale,
terrible.
aren't you?
But you know,
Nailed that one for you, yeah.
I'll make you smile here, Alan. When I was getting some of these out, it shows how long I've had these.
Oxfam, 75p.
But handwritten label.
Oh.
So it dates it, doesn't it?
That's vintage Oxfam. That's you know, things that when they've not got anything in, you think, well, that's a bit naff. As soon as you put that in, look at
It's
that.
sweet. Things like this, traditionally, they would have been put on dressing tables
Yes.
in bedrooms, and just to sort of cheer up that environment if you're having guests come to stay.
You realise that the charity shops will sell out of these this you know, this coming week now, because
Good, that's
we've shown what
excellent.
you can do with them on here. These I love. Now, I learnt a new word from you. We always used to call these, I always used to call these pin holders.
Absolutely, me too.
What do they call them?
Kenzans.
Is that a Japanese word?
Japanese word, yeah, 'cause they date back to ancient Japanese flower arranging, to Ikebana. And these are fantastic to do something minimalist.
They're lead, heavyweight.
Yeah, we could do that with that Saracocca, Alan, and just spike.
Stick it in.
Just straight
And
onto there.
Straight onto that.
And it just shows how practical they are for holding things.
You've got to grow Saracocca.
Oh,
I mean,
love
the
it.
fragrance, tiny little white whiskery flowers, but the fragrance is
Intense.
intensely, I'm going to say overpowering, not in a bad way, but just, oh my goodness
I
me.
love it.
Yeah.
But then,
Beautiful.
Alan, I used one of the Kenzans or pin holders or flower frogs, we used to call them
Flower
as well.
frogs.
And I've just done that design in that very sort of classical 1920s
I'm getting a real
style
retro
container.
feel from you today,
Definitely, it's sort of
Jonathan.
vintage, isn't it? And retro.
Yeah.
I'm getting to that age, Alan, that's why.
Yeah, it's the trouble is the stuff that was when I was growing up is now retro. It's rather annoying that.
Well,
you
then
know,
it
you
comes
think
back round
does
again,
come
doesn't
round.
it? It comes
So,
back into fashion.
What are we going to do over here? You got some crates?
Yeah, I've got a few crates because I think another sort of fun element, Alan, when we sort of planning to make flower arrangements is look at what you've got around and be sustainable by using what you've got.
So you've been out into the garden, you've nicked a bit of choisia.
I've got some
the
choisia.
Sundance, the yellow Mexican
Again,
orange
quite
blossom.
pungent smell, but I quite like it.
Yeah, when you crush it. Yeah, and then ivy.
We've got some ivy.
Very splashy or Cuba.
Yeah.
Or is it a laurel?
It's a laurel, this
is,
one.
it's laurel,
yes,
isn't it?
laurel, and it's marbled white. Prunus laurus marbled white.
Right.
And
That's interesting.
it's sort of looking a bit dishevelled now because it's been through the winter, and we all look a bit dishevelled, don't we? When we've
It's
been
through the winter, yeah.
But it will put on an array of gorgeous new growth shortly. And people often say about flowers, you know, it's hard to get British flowers in the depths of winter, and you know what's around all year. And one of our growers, which is Crossland Flower Farm, they grow Alstroemeria 52 weeks of the year.
Does it really? It's obviously undercover in
They're
winter.
undercover, and
Yeah.
you know Alstroemeria I think is a fantastic flower.
It lasts well, doesn't it?
That is my point about it exactly.
Yeah.
You know, its longevity is great.
He's lovely. These Dutch irises, do we call these, or English irises?
Well, they are English
They are,
iris.
yeah.
We call them Dutch iris. We've always called them
We
Dutch
have,
iris,
yeah,
haven't
no,
we?
they're not necessarily
And
from
even when you
they're
buy the bulbs
raised
in the
there.
catalogues, the Dutch iris.
Yeah.
And
Brilliant.
our British tulip season, it's sort of at its full peak throughout mid-springtime, and we grow some amazing tulips. So I'm just going to pop a few of these in here, which more or less completes this.
I love these crates.
They're brilliant, and I'm arranging into that chicken wire, Alan, just inside here.
Yeah.
So if I just lift up, you'll see I've got a potluck just inside there, which just holds all that. And then what I've done for a bit of fun, Alan, and I thought if somebody's having a spring party or you've got a wedding coming up maybe, you could get a series of crates and just stack these together.
Look at that.
And I've done an arrangement in each little crate there. I can just pop that on the top, and then another little posy there, Alan, just in a galvanised
just
bucket.
stuff from the garden in
Just
in
all
most of
bits,
it. Yeah.
clippings, just clippings from
Yeah.
the garden, Alan. And I'll just turn that way around, which is
Do you
more
know,
sensible.
Jonathan, you could do this for a living. You're very good at it.
I don't know, Alan. I think there's a lot of work in it.
So the old line is there's no money in it, you know.
No money in flowers.
Jonathan,
But what there is fun.
It is fun. And just the sight of a little miniature daff, miniature narcissi, coming into bloom at this time of year, it just reminds you that there is hope in nature. glancing at that, looking at what you've created there, fill your lungs with a bit of perfume and a whole load of optimism. It's
Flowers
lovely.
give us pleasure,
They
Alan,
do.
and they're there for everybody to enjoy.
All we have to do is cherish them. Jonathan, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Delightful. That'll make you feel better. Now, if you've ever struggled to put up a shelf or had a flat pack fail, this lot will put you to shame. Nature's natural builders. Beavers. They're an impressive lot. Thankfully, these hardy hard workers are making a comeback in our islands. Leslie Joseph introduces us to a colony of kits in this week's Small Wonders.
And a very good morning to you, Alan. Oh, and what a small wonder we have for you today. Step forward, the beguiling beaver. The Eurasian beaver, or castor fibre to their friends, is native to these shores and was once widespread throughout Britain, but were hunted to extinction in the 16th century. Our beaver friends live in small family groups, a bit like the Waltons. Remember them, good night, John Boy? Good night, Mary Ellen. Now to matters of copulation. I say yes when it comes to the adults' alone time. Beaver breeding season takes place between December and April, so don't be surprised if you ever hear the dulcet tones of Barry White coming from a beaver lodge during the winter. Personally, I prefer a bit of Barry Manilow, but it's not about me. Pregnancy lasts just over 100 days, and once born, the young beavers, otherwise known as kits, slowly learn their ways of the land. Despite being rather slow on land, beavers are excellent swimmers who love deep water. In fact, if the water isn't deep enough for them, they make it deeper. Oh, such divas, these beavers. By creating dams, making ponds, and forming canals to swim around their territory, beavers create habitat that helps other wildlife to thrive. They have the ability to swim at speeds of up to 5 miles an hour and can hold their breath for up to 15 minutes. Not only that, but they even have a pair of inbuilt swimming goggles due to their transparent extra eyelids, otherwise known as nictitating membranes. Now that's a party trick. It's put Biggins' balloon dance to shame. Oh, now look at our beaver friends here. The older beaver showing the baby beaver all the tricks of the trade when it comes to self-grooming. After all, you don't want twigs and clumps of mud stuck in your hair. Well, not unless you're at Glastonbury Festival, but I can't imagine our beaver friends will have got tickets this year. Shocking Wi-Fi connection at these dams. Oh, do be careful, baby beaver. You don't want to fall into the... Oh, never mind. I did try to warn them. Ciao till next time.
Oh, thanks as always, Leslie. You pulled it out of the bag yet again. Did you know that beavers slap their tails to warn others of danger? That'd be a handy talent, wouldn't it? Still ahead, Romeo and Juliet, Morse and Lewis, Titchmarsh and a trowel. Some things are just meant to go together. Tom Sergi showcases the English and Welsh grapes and cheeses that are a match made in culinary heaven. I can almost smell the blue. At least I think that's what I smell. Oh, well. And described as a night of fast and fabulously funny improvised laugh your socks off comedy, Paul Merton and Suki Webster, bringing some unplanned chaos to a theatre near you very soon. I'll see you with Paul and Suki for some improvised chat right after this.
You love a performance. Karcher loves clean. Love your weekend. Sponsored by Karcher.
No, I don't go to Specsavers.
I don't go to Specsavers, actually.
Not anymore. Should have gone to Specsavers. No. They come to me. Oh, hi there. Come on in.
We're there for people who can't go to Specsavers too. To see if you're eligible, search Specsavers Home Visits.
Some things in life you know are going to happen, just as you know Sun Life pays every claim. Choose the nation's favourite today and start our 5-star rated over 50s plan. Call free or go online and get our biggest £140 gift card.
Injury lawyers for you. When you've had an accident that wasn't your fault, you need guidance. Your lawyers need expertise. You need answers. You need compensation. You need injury lawyers for you.
Yeah, I had gas for years. Oh, that came out wrong.
We got a heat pump.
We did.
Feels lovely doing your bit for the environment.
Hey, it's proper toasty, like.
And with the grant, we saved several thousand. Did we? Where'd that go then? I don't know.
Feel all warm and fuzzy inside with a £7,500 government grant towards your heat pump at gov.uk/heat pumps.
Have you heard that you can play Bingo 75 and 90 on Happy Tiger? Join the fun for 25p a ticket and enjoy a new bingo round every 5 minutes. And as the numbers are drawn, your tickets will be filled in automatically. Always with a chance to win the mega prize of £2,500. It's easy, it's fun, and you can play bingo wherever you want. Simply search for Happy Tiger Bingo and join the roaring fun today. Happy Tiger.
Join us at the Ideal Home Show in partnership with Laradoute Interiors for a great day out. Explore the latest trends in home and garden to help create your ideal living space. Hear from experts, shop from hundreds of brands, discover an event full of ideas and inspiration. Show starts Friday the 21st of March to the 6th of April at Olympia, London. Book tickets now at idealhomeshow.co.uk.
The seaside stays with you. You never forget the joy, the beauty, the power. Oh, those lifeboat volunteers ready to rescue, just like they are today.
So I'm leaving them an unforgettable gift. A gift in my will that will help protect the crews of the future.
If you pledge a gift too, it will be part of future rescues, because your name will appear on the side of a lifeboat.
So once you've looked after your loved ones, will you protect the lifeboat volunteers too?
Search RNLI Wills to receive your free guide to gifts in wills. Thank you.
All done, Sue?
Yep, and not just with your hair. With the help of Xero accounting software, I've sorted my numbers too. So now I can take my business anywhere.
What's your next?
Wherever we want.
Welcome to a sunny Fratton Park, home of Portsmouth, who today host Leeds United in an important championship game for both sides. Leeds are the league leaders, unbeaten in 17, but Pompey have only lost once at home since October. I'll be joined by Stuart Dallas and Matt Taylor for a key clash at 11:30.
You love takeaway. Karcher loves clean. Love your weekend. Sponsored by Karcher.
Welcome back to Love Your Weekend. Still ahead, you might enjoy a robust English reserve with the sharp aged cheddar, or perhaps a crisp Chardonnay with a tangy, creamy chèvre. Do you like the French accent there?
Yeah, it's very good, yeah.
Goat's cheese. Tom Sergio reveals his top wine and cheese combos. From Brie to Blue, Tom's got it all in this week's Best of British. But first, in the words of author H. Jackson Brown, creating a successful marriage is like farming. You have to start over again every morning. Well, it looks like this comedy couple may have taken that advice a little too literally.
Getting the sheep out of the pen is one thing. Gathering them all back in again is somewhat harder.
Keith, get him in there, will you? Oi, mate, buy you a pint of beer. Nice pork chop.
He's sounding more and more like a Londoner. Use a Yorkshire accent.
Right, get him in there.
That's better.
Go on. Yes, Keith, yes. Go on, lad. Right, come by. Right. Go on. Yes.
You did a brilliant job then.
Oh, bless you for pretending that was me.
Not sure about the shepherding, Suki, but the Yorkshire accent was very good. I was impressed
thank
with
you
that.
very much.
That was from Motorhoming.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
So there you are.
I haven't seen that for a while. It's quite interesting to see that,
and what's funny is the dog only listened to him
So he must have been doing something, because I tried, and at one point I put my arms behind him and pretended that we were one person, or he had his arms through me, didn't he?
Yeah.
So that it looked like I was doing it, but actually it was his voice with,
The dog, oh dear. But you clearly, it's obvious, you obviously enjoy one another's company. I mean, you know, for better, for worse, but not for lunch is the usual thing about marriage. You've taken it a stage further than that.
Yeah, I think we do. I mean, we do a lot of work together, and we sort of wake up in the mornings, and there was a laugh quite early on in the day, and we do enjoy each other's company.
Yes.
And
Paul often wakes up in the morning, looks at me and says, "What have I done?"
What have I done?
You can read either way.
Do you then tell him?
I look at Suki in the morning and go, what have I done?
Working with humour as well. Have you got the same sense of humour? Is that a silly question? Do you laugh at the same things?
We do. Yeah, we do really, don't we? I mean,
I think we do.
I think a shared sense of humour is very useful, important, particularly in the work we do on stage, but also in the relationship. If a couple laugh together, then they're getting on, you know. And I look at the mirror in the morning, stark naked, I laugh, and so does Suki.
It's very funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure.
Because comedy, we'll talk about Have I Got News in a bit, but it can be very competitive. But between husband and wife, is there a degree of competition? Oh, I got more laughs tonight than you did. Is that unsaid?
Improvisation isn't. Stand-ups, because they're two individuals, can be competitive. Yeah. But it's very much a team sport, so you've got to support each other, and you've got to have a personality that quite likes being a team.
Yeah, and I love comedy so much that I actually don't mind playing straight to somebody. It's like, you know, Suki's getting big laughs on something and I'm playing a straighter part. That, I think, is great as well, because, you know, if we talk about perhaps our greatest double act, Morecambe and Wise, only Wise is doing as much work as Eric, because he's supporting what Eric does. It's not as showy and it's not as obvious, but it really is as important as what Eric is doing. And if we are doing a scene together on stage and Suki's getting lots of laughs, I can just become a supportive role, and I love that. I mean, I wouldn't probably want to be a straight man all the time, but it's another aspect of comedy which as an art form, I just love every A to Z of it, really.
Is that the great delight of impro, is the fact that it is going to be different every night, and you really are living on your wits there in a way more than you are with stand-up. With stand-up, yes, it's alone, not necessarily lonely, but it's solitary. But you can hone it, you can refine it, you can do the bits you know work really well. You're really at the end of the plank on the pirate ship, aren't you, really, with impro? Where am I going from here? But that adds to it, presumably.
It does, but also there's nothing to worry about. It doesn't exist yet. So we can't worry about it. It just happens there and then.
That's the strange thing. It's like, if you do like a sort of stand-up act and you've got a bit about, I know, a budgie that plays the accordion.
I bet it was good.
And nobody finds it funny, and you think, I've got to do that budgie playing the accordion bit. Why? Well, maybe I'll put it at the end. Maybe I'll put it at the beginning. Maybe, you know. But with impro, if you do a bit about a budgie playing the accordion, nobody laughs. You just move on. There is, before the show, you don't know you're going to talk about a budgie playing the accordion, so there's nothing to worry about, because there actually is no material until you start doing it.
But you do these things where you get the audience up to actually be part of it, and they move you around, and then you there are words that you've got and things like that, which is, I mean, you must laugh as much at it because the audience, they're working as well in a way, aren't they?
No, there are times that you make each other really laugh on stage, and it's great. You can't be indulgent with it, but there are times when you're finding it as funny as the audience.
And then they find it funny that you're finding it funny, so it's actually OK.
I think it's that thing, you've got to be careful. I mean, you know, they talk about it being corpsing on stage is what they talk about when people are laughing about what you're doing. Providing you don't do it right at the beginning of the show and the audience see that you are genuinely laughing, it's great. You know, I have seen shows where people pretend to be laughing, and that's dreadful. But no, it is, because it's improvised. You can be sitting at the side of the stage watching what's happening on stage and enjoying it as much as any member of the audience.
But there's this, because you're doing this, you're going to tour this your improv show, your joint improv show. It must be really weird, you know, going there, kind of sitting in the car outside the theatre and thinking, right, well, we've got about 2.5 hours here to fill in this theatre. We haven't a clue what we're going to fill it with. Does that raise your performance in a way?
Yes, I mean, you can't be complacent about it, certainly. You know, you could, I suppose, if you would, although if you were doing a play or a piece of stand-up, you shouldn't be complacent about it either, but you could see yourself falling into a mindset where you go, oh, well, I know this works, and I just go through the words or whatever. But in an impro thing, the key thing is listening. So Suki says something, I react to what she says, she reacts to what I say. So if she says in a scene that she's a doctor, then I've got to start talking to her as if she's a doctor. I can't talk to to her as if she's a plumber because, you know, it wouldn't really work. So it is, yeah, I don't get nervous, but I get ready.
But also, the other thing that's going to be very exciting about this run is we've got some guests who have never improvised before. So, last run, he's coming back. We had Stephen Mangan. He'd never done it, but he trusted us.
Yeah.
And loved it. He loved it. He said, I wish I'd done this years ago.
Yeah.
Stephen's very sharp, you know. I've
He
had him on the
is.
show here several times. He's quick-witted, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's exactly what you need. And we have David Tennant is doing it for the first time ever. David Mitchell's never done it before.
He's doing it.
We have Miles Jupp. We have Julian Clary.
So Dave Mitchell has never done improv before. That's
And he was sort of, I mean, I think he's quite apprehensive about it, but I sort of sent him a long email saying there's no need to worry about it. You know, don't think of jumping out of a plane without a parachute because A, there's no parachute, but also there's no plane. You're on ground level, we'll look after you. And he's trusted us, and I strongly suspect he'll have a great time.
Yeah.
If he can withstand Lee Mack on Would I Lie to You, I think he'll be in very safe hands.
David improvises all the time. It's just that he's never thought of doing
called it that.
Never called it that. That's it, exactly. Yeah.
You better tell us where you're going to be on the tour.
Yes, well, first of all, we've got a weekly show at the London Comedy Store.
When is that?
That is March the 12th through to April the 30th at 7:30
Is that a comedy store? Is that a comedy store in London?
It is.
What time?
7:30 p.m.
Okay, yeah.
We hope we'll see you there.
Yeah. Well, I hope you'll see him there because he doesn't seem very sure.
I've no idea.
And then we start the tour on October the 11th and we're in Basingstoke. That's our first date, and that runs through to spring 2026.
That's right. A bit of a gap over Christmas, but then, spring 2026, so yeah.
Christmas, here we are in March talking about
Christmas.
Long way away. Yeah. Many years ago, I was on Have I Got News for You as a guest. And I have to say, this is a good few years ago, it must be at least 10, 15 years ago. And I remember going in there and feeling as if I was being led to the gallows.
Yes.
I was that scared. But I learnt very quickly that the way, from my point of view, I felt to get through Have I Got News for You was to speak when I was spoken to or asked a question, but to leave the comedy down to it was then Angus Deaton and you and Ian Hislop. It is a programme that I have to say of which I am very fond. Look at this.
Time now. Time now.
Time now. Time now. Why have you started talking like that?
That's how I talk.
Time now. We've been coming here 56 years. Time now.
Now you've made me super self-conscious.
Yeah. Okay. Well, don't be super self-conscious. Just don't go, time now. See, now with Charlie, because he's hosted it a few times, I knew I could sort of pick him up on that. If it was somebody who was new to hosting on our show and hadn't done it before, I wouldn't do that, because you don't want to throw somebody into a position where they go, oh, I don't know what to do. But actually, he timed that very nicely, where he just sort of gave a look and then paused and hesitated, and he did it. And he's very accomplished, so I knew it was okay. But he did suddenly go, time now.
Well, you were all very kind to me. I have to say, you know, it's soft target, I suppose. But it was somebody else on the panel whose name I won't give away, who said he pronounced IKEA IKEA, and you leapt on him.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. And I thought, oh, good, somebody else is taking the flak. It doesn't have to. But there is a degree of rivalry there, isn't there? I think really only in terms of getting the most laughs or making sure that you're earning your keep.
I don't think there's a sense of rivalry with Ian, because he's won so few shows over 35 years that it'd be like feeling a rivalry with well, I can't think of a comparison with somebody who hasn't won a show in 35 years. No, but Ian's very, very good at doing the serious political stuff, and he really knows his stuff. And I think a lot of people tune in to see what Ian has to say about it, about things, you know. And
he doesn't pull his punches, does he?
That's why I watch it. It's for Ian Hislop.
Yeah, is it really? That's nice to know, isn't it? On Alan's show, I've come along on Alan's show, and I know there's an injunction at the moment, and we're not meant to sit next to each other, but nevertheless, here we are. No, there's no rivalry between me and Ian, because Ian is also very funny, but Ian is so sharp. He understands. He's a journalist as well. He understands news stories much better than I do. So I tend to get the silly ones and the silly questions, and I'm happy with that.
You mentioned Morecambe and Wise there. Comedy heroes. I mean, the people that you you learn from and you admire, Suki? I mean, who's at top of your list?
Oh, so many. love Paul Merton. I do. I genuinely think Paul is fabulous. Billy Connolly, I saw him a few years ago and he's so relaxed on stage. I mean, he's just brilliant.
And having a good time, enjoying being there.
Yes.
And that at ease with an audience, and that makes you, as an audience member, feel...
I saw Dave Allen once. Dave Allen didn't tour often, but I saw him once do 2 hours at Wimbledon Theatre, and it was just remarkable. You felt like you were sitting in the corner of a pub with him. You know,
was that sitting on the stool with the glass of scotch?
Yeah, and you know, and just he's such a brilliant raconteur. He just took you into the stories, and you could have sat there and listened to him all day. It was just wonderful. But it's amazing now. I mean, young people, there's so much comedy you can access on YouTube and all sorts of stuff. Young people don't know a lot of these comics. There's Peter Cook. You speak to a young person about Peter Cook, they have no idea who it is.
Gosh.
And he's, you know, he was still around to the 1990s, so it is extraordinary that some of these great names are now disappearing into, you know, distant memory.
Talking about working with greats, there is one great that we have footage of you working with in Panto, Ronnie Corbett.
Oh, yes.
Lucretia?
Yes?
Griselda? Yes? My dear, we're behaving like two very common gutters.
You're quite right. Anybody would think we didn't have class.
Yes, indeed. Okay, let's just continue.
Yep.
With the decorating in a very nice gentlemanly way, or girly way, and then at...
We've all got our secrets, haven't we?
I haven't seen that for a long time either. Yeah, that's a great joy. Yeah, we were meant to be identical twin sisters.
Do you ever work now with script writers, or is it all your own material?
The only writers I ever worked with were Galton and Simpson when I did a series which we did for ITV a long time ago. Ray and Alan, who, for viewers who know them, will know them from Hancock's Half Hour and Steptoe and Son and stuff. And just a joy, you know.
And also for their stories.
Yes.
About working with the greats like Hancock.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, they would. Frankie Howard. They'd said a lot of stories about Frankie Howard, and I said I've heard 2 stories about Frankie Howard, I said, which are contradictory. One says that if you wrote a script with him and you wrote in all the oohs and ahs, he'd go, I'll do the oohs and ahs. I'm not paying you to write oohs and ahs. And then if you didn't put the oohs and ahs, he'd go, where's my oohs and ahs? and he said, no, both stories were true. Whichever version you did, without the oohs and ahs or with them, he would complain.
Was right. Well, you're a veteran too of Just a Minute, which is another challenge to wit and no hesitation, repetition or deviation, you know. So that's another thing. You seem to both of you thrive on being kept on your toes, thriving on comedy danger in a way.
I mean, Just a Minute is perfect for improvisers. I only did it the once, but loved it. And Nicholas Parsons was the most lovely man you could possibly
He was a
ever
king
meet.
gardener. He loved his gardening.
Yes.
Yeah, he was a great man. He was extraordinary. He said to me once, he said to me, Paul, I'm thinking of changing my agent. And he was 93 at the time, you know? It was very funny, very funny.
Lovely to have you both with us. Your reward for being here is a glass of wine and a bit of cheese.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah. Before we unwind in today's Best of British, it's time to take a moment for your favourite guessing game. Where is this in today's Ode to Joy? That was, did you get it? Glorious Hastings in East Sussex, courtesy of Jason Stubbs, and set to the Violin Sonata No. 9 by Beethoven. Coming up, a homage to fromage, but what to accompany our smelly favourites. With the cheese and wine party back in style, it's hard to go wrong when you've a glass of wine in one hand and cheese in the other, but without the pineapple chunk. Just as today's guests, Tom Sergi and the mouth-watering combination of wine and cheese right after this. I'll bring the pickles.
You love adventure. Karcher loves clean. Love your weekend. Sponsored by Karcher.
Join us at the Ideal Home Show in partnership with Laradoute Interiors for a great day out. Explore the latest trends in home and garden to help create your ideal living space. Hear from experts, shop from hundreds of brands, discover an event full of ideas and inspiration. Show starts Friday the 21st of March to the 6th of April at Olympia, London. Book tickets now at idealhomeshow.co.uk.
Meet the Shark Power Detect, a game-changing breakthrough in cleaning designed to capture more dirt, debris and hair. With Duo Clean technology, it automatically reacts to your home, optimizing performance on any floor type. Hair wrapping? No problem with Shark Anti-Hair Wrap. Got hard to reach areas? No more with Lift Away. And that's not all. Unlike many others, it devours debris in both directions. The game-changing answer to all your cleaning problems. Shark Power Detect.
Sitting quietly while your car is made all shiny. Downtime can be just fine too. Ready meal is piping hot. Waterproof on the loo. Just enjoy your back tattoo. Tea break, face break, maybe even watch the ad break. Sometimes it's not time for some tombola, right? It's enjoying lasagna time, chilling with a book time, or time to visit your nan time. Put the phone down.
When there is still so much to figure out, it's so good to know where to begin. Powered by over 55 years of research, Royal Canon's precise nutrition is tailored for cats and dogs' unique needs at every life stage. Discover the Royal Canin range at zooplus.co.uk, your expert for pet supplies.
If you're sharing a hotel room with friends, you're also sharing a bathroom and a mirror and a tiny hairdryer and a plug socket and a tiny counter and a... Get an Airbnb and get more space.
Is that my bestie in a taxi? Crash a blowout, skin on town, she red. That my best friend, she a real bad, got her own money. She don't need no on the dance floor.
Great action from Balding. Poor Dave. Legs aching again.
What's her secret? Pills? Weird celebrity massage?
I hear it's Revitive. Revitive Circulation Booster gets your leg muscles pumping and relieves aches and pains. And it's drug-free. And Dave's back in the game. Looks like my secret's out. Try Revitive, the best kept secret for aching legs. Visit revitive.com.
No, I don't go to Specsavers.
I don't go to Specsavers, actually.
Not anymore.
Should have gone to Specsavers. No. They come to me. Oh, hi there, come on in.
We're there for people who can't go to Specsavers too. To see if you're eligible, search Specsavers Home Visits.
It's pronounced Fire.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Premium. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Thick. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Protein rich. Fire.
It's pronounced Fire. For a reason.
I think my friend might be here.
The last time I saw this girl, she broke my nose.
Right, I've got all my girlies here. Let's get the party started.
The Real Housewives of Cheshire. Tomorrow at 9 on ITVB and ITVX.
You love muddy walkies. Karcher loves clean. Love your weekend. Sponsored by Karcher.
Welcome back to Love Your Weekend. Best of British time now. And in the words of T.S. Eliot, never commit yourself to a cheese without having first examined it. Luckily, I have someone to pre-vet my cheese for me. Oh, spoiled over here. To celebrate the most iconic pairing there is, except for Merton and Webster, of course, I'm delighted to welcome back Tom Sergi and his smorgasbord of cheese and wine couplings.
Thank you very much. So today we are going to do cheese and wine pairings. I've got 5 of the best, British cheeses, which are amazing. And we've sourced them from Rennet and Rind, who are an amazing cheese retailer, but they're an affineur as well. So they buy cheeses, they mature them themselves, and then release them when they're ready. So they should be in tip-top condition. So, shall we begin?
Yes. First up.
Wine and cheese number 1 is, cheese-wise, we've got Baron Bigod. And so this is Brie-style cheese, and it's made in Suffolk from cow's milk. So really kind of Brie-style, classic, creamy, soft style of cheese. What you've got here is you've got Chardonnay grown on the North Downs in Kent. It's called White Wolf. It's only just come out. This is their first release. 2, brand new, very young growers.
It's very good.
Do we like?
I do.
Paul?
Yes, it's nice. Yeah, I do like it, yeah.
It's quite gentle, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's elegant. They do 3 versions.
I normally don't like Chardonnay, and that's very nice. It's not oaky.
There's a tiny bit of oak there, but it's not expressive. It doesn't. You can't taste it. It just fleshes it out a bit. And this is their KC3, it's called, and the others are KC1, KC2. The first one's quite minerally. The second one's quite rich and a bit more oaky and round. This is the kind of perfect medium-bodied, kind of elegant drinking Chardonnay.
I do love that Brie.
It's good. They're a good pairing as well.
Isn't it? Baron Bigod.
Tiny bit of Brie.
People think...
Which is this one?
With cheese and wine pairing, people will reach for red wine immediately, and actually it's a complete mistake. I think the easiest thing you can do is, if you're pairing cheeses and you've got a whole cheese board, have a white wine, because the acidity in the white wine cuts through the fat. It pairs really beautifully with the acidity in the cheese. The saltiness in the cheese kind of works beautifully as well.
I've heard that you shouldn't keep cheese in the fridge, is that right?
There's a degree of that, yeah. I mean, you certainly should take it out way before you serve it. So a good 2 or 3 hours before you serve it. Most people serve it way too cold, for sure. But yeah.
That's delicious.
We think nice?
Combo. Do we approve of that?
I do very much.
So lovely White Wolf. Next, this is called The Heretics Rosé. And it's produced from a beautiful vineyard in Essex. It's 100% Pinot Noir. And people think that English rosé, and kind of rosé in general, all over the world, needs to be Provençal in style. Light pink, elegant, nice to drink in a paddling pool in the garden. This is a bit more structured. It's got a little bit of oak to it. It's a bit more rich and creamy and round, but still really delicious and easy drinking. And alongside the lovely Heretics Blowhorn Rosé, you have Ticklemore from Sharpham.
I love the name, Ticklemore.
Yeah,
sounds like a Mr. Man book.
Ticklemore. It is, yeah, Mr. Ticklemore.
So this is a creamy, quite sort of citric, herbaceous goat's cheese from down in Devon.
It's definitely a goat's cheese, isn't it? Because it cleaves to your palate. I mean, it's much more dense.
Exactly.
Have you ever tickle-moored in a paddling pool?
Once or twice, you're absolutely man of the world.
It's an ambition.
I think you've had enough.
We'll discuss more later. Exactly.
I wouldn't normally think of having white wine with cheese. No, I mean, I've always sort of thought of red wine being, the natural companion, particularly red wine and blue cheese, or whatever. But no, this works very well.
These are working well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like I say, I think that's the thing. The common sort of, approach is to have red wine with it. If you're going to have red wine, have younger, slightly sweeter, riper styles of red wine, I think. You need a bit of sweetness to balance it. And we're going to get to a red. I will show you a red. I've got another plan for the red. But before we go there, I think cider and wine are broadly the same thing, right? Other than one being made from apples in cider, the other being made from grapes. Both are brilliant, very natural, minimal intervention kind of processes of you pick the thing, you squish it, out comes some juice and you ferment it. And so we've got this amazing heritage of cider here. So I wanted to show a cider as a wine, but this is non-alcoholic cider, fermented to a full cider.
Does that not make it apple juice?
Well, so it would be if they hadn't fermented it already. So they ferment it, then what they do here is they de-alkalize it through this kind of nanofiltration process. So it starts as proper cider and then is reduced down to 0.5%.
I wouldn't know that wasn't alcoholic.
No, that's what I find.
That's really good.
It's unbelievable.
Poacher 50. This is a cheddar, presumably, is it?
This is very like a cheddar, so it's cheddar style for sure. So this is made by the same people that make Lincolnshire Poacher, which is a kind of crumbly sort of style of cheese. And this is Poacher 50, which is cooked a little bit longer, just sort of slightly more matured, so it's a bit more dense and kind of closer to cheddar.
But I'm loving this. This is gorgeous.
This is
isn't it?
great.
You could
Yeah.
happily drink this
Yeah.
throughout the evening. I mean,
As you
it's really
said,
good.
you wouldn't know it wasn't alcoholic.
No.
And it's like a very nice, not too sweet cider.
Exactly.
Because it's fizzy. It's, you know.
I mean, they've really completely sort of solved the science of how to make non-alcoholic beers, haven't they, in the last few years?
100%. Exactly.
It's quite recent, though, isn't it? Because
It used to be terrible in the 80s.
Yeah.
And we're living in the kind of golden age of it. And the reason why it's getting better is more of us are drinking non-alcoholic things, so they can invest more in the process of doing it. And so it's this lovely kind of virtuous circle of all we've got to do is keep drinking the things, and they would just get better. Next, we have got some red wine. You can't do wine and cheese pairing without a little bit of red wine, of course.
Paul, just for you.
So, I've chosen to give you a Pinot Noir made by a lovely man called Will Davenport in East Sussex near Crowborough, and he's also the foremost organic grower in this country. So this is 100% Pinot Noir, made like it's Burgundy, with beautiful old French oak barrels in there. And it's earthy, it's savoury, it's blackberry, kind of brambly fruited, and it's fresh. It's got this lovely line of acidity. And that's going to be what pairs it beautifully with the cheese. And so we've got classic Mrs. Kirkham's Lancashire, a cheese that's close to my heart, the original and the last of the famous kind of Lancashire cheeses, crumbly, semi-hard, kind of quite kind of crisp.
In my experience, it needs to be eaten fairly quickly because it dries out. It does dry out and get very hard.
Yeah.
So you need to buy small quantities and eat it quickly.
You definitely do. And, you know, if you go to a really lovely cheese shop and you get the waxed paper alongside it, I'm always rubbish at it, but what they say is you need to wrap it really tightly. And if you really tightly wrap that cheese with the waxed paper, it'll pretty much last.
I'll remember that, yeah. Paul, cheese? Good cheese?
That's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very nice. It's a shame you can't try it.
The Poacher 50 is winning for me right now, if I'm to be honest.
It's
That's my kind of... I absolutely love that.
It is so good.
Absolutely delicious.
But this is lovely and earthy, this, isn't it?
It's fresh, it's vibrant, it's like brambles. There's a lovely bit of earthy, savoury Pinot Noir kind of character to it. It's a bit of kind of like autumn leaves sort of thing going on. It's really good value, actually, for English red wine as well. They tend to be quite premium. And, I mean, it's about £22. But within the English red wine spectrum, I think that really delivers on value. Finally, it's quite an unusual wine, this. And it's a wine that I've known for over a decade. They're amazing. Wendy, who produces it, is lovely. And it's called Ambriel, and it is their English Reserve MV, which means multi-vintage. Lots of different vintages of the year, different years going into it.
Oh, that's
And this is what's called a demi-sec. So this is not super sweet, but is off-dry. It's 32 grams of sugar, pretty much just in the bottle. So it's pretty sweet. The French call it demi-sec. It was a style that really was created for the English because we had a much sweeter palate than the French did when they made champagne. But the opportunity you have here is pairing it with blue cheese. And there is nothing, I think, more enjoyable than slightly sweet wine and lovely kind of salty, kind of funky blue
You
cheese.
don't often nowadays taste a fizz that has any sweetness about it at all. It's not cloyingly sweet, but it's actually quite refreshing that it's not got that sharp tang. It's oh, that's rather nice.
Yeah.
This is a terrifying combination for me because I'm not into sweet, fizzy wines and I really don't very much like a blue cheese. So this might not be... Of course I'm going to try some. Of course I do, Paul.
You won't know it's blue.
I'm very happy
it's
to try
very gentle.
it.
You'll think it's brie. It doesn't taste like a blue cheese.
No,
blue
it's
cheese.
very
Tastes delicious.
Isn't it good?
So the blue in question is made by a friend of mine. He's a lovely bloke in Sussex called Chris at Barkham Dairy. He started 5 years ago. This was his first cheese, and it's called Blue Clouds. And it is exactly that. It is just easy.
I have to concede that genuinely was a very nice blue cheese. Not so much. It's too sweet for me, if I'm to be honest.
Fair enough. Totally
but
fair.
I will concede to the cheese.
And as a pairing, it works quite nicely, I think. Salty blue cheese, nice little sweet wine.
And do you have anything to say about temperature that wine should be served at?
Yeah, I think there's a really good rule, which a few people have talked about before, but it is generally red wine, store it at room temperature, but put it into the fridge for about 20 minutes before you serve it.
Right.
You want red wine to be just below room temperature, because when the rules for wine were written, room temperature didn't have central heating and all the rest of it.
Yes.
And then white is the opposite. Keep it in the fridge, and then about 20 minutes, half an hour before you want to serve it, get it out of the fridge.
Right, OK.
So I think there's a real sort of sea change of chilly red wine, just a tiny bit.
So, guys, you glad you came?
Absolutely.
Learnt a lot. Well done.
That was
Pleasure.
great, thank you.
Well, you've earned it, really, haven't you? That's it for today. Thanks to all my guests, to Paul, Suki, Ben and Tom. Join me next week for more Countryside Capers. Until then, in the words of Mel Brooks, hope for the best, expect the worst. Life is a play. We're unrehearsed. Well, there's nothing unrehearsed about this. I can tell you, it's delicious. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Cheers, all.
Cheers.
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 Cheers. That's nice.
Nicely done, Paul.
This afternoon on ITV1, join Mark Pugach as our coverage of the men's Six Nations continues. England take on Italy at 2:15. But coming up next, we've live EFL action. Portsmouth v Leeds.
Love your weekend. Sponsored by Karcher.
100 everyday heroes. Let's go. Play stupidly simple games. But only one gets to leave with 25 grand.
Oh, I don't get it!
The only rule is...
Don't come last.
What's just happened?
This game is brilliant. I love this show.
99 to beat. Coming soon on ITV1 and ITVX.
First time, never I saw your face. I thought the sun rose in your eyes, and the moon in
the 2025 Guinness Six Nations.
Wow, what a game. They are a team on a mission.
What about the kick? What about it? What about it?
The Guinness Six Nations 2025, live on ITV1 and ITVX.
Now on ITV1, Hugh Woozencroft has all of the action as Portsmouth take on Leeds in EFL live.
Sky Bet, proud sponsors of the EFL.
Welcome to Fratton Park, where Portsmouth host the Championship leaders Leeds United. The last time these two met was on the opening day of the season, where we were treated to a real thriller at Ellen Road.
Welcome back to the Championship. We all love this league. Leeds have got some really good players, but there's plenty more to come from the boys.
Oh, Daniel James goes over, penalty. Well, that was a beautiful penalty. Oh, and a bit of space here for Sorensen! A devastating equaliser! Comes out to Lang and hits it! A glorious Pompey goal! Here's Gnonto looking to take it on! Leeds United at level. Sadie going to ground, and it's a penalty in stoppage time. Has he got the bottle? Oh, you bet he has! Pompey lead by 3-2. Peru rolled into Aronson. Oh, it's 3-3! Another twist in the tail.
We've been treated to a classic Championship game here.
A special game when the points were shared back in August, but since then their seasons have taken very different paths. Leeds are unbeaten in 17 games and recently secured important wins against promotion rivals Sunderland and Sheffield United. Despite drawing against West Brom last week, they are still top of the table as they make the trip to the South Coast. Portsmouth were promoted out of League One last season, and despite a tricky start to life in the Championship, they have slowly steadied the ship. 3 wins in their last 4 games have boosted survival hopes. Despite defeat by Luton Town last weekend, they will want to maintain their strong home record, having lost once here since October. Kickoff comes at midday. And I'm delighted to say I am joined by a man who spent nearly 10 years at Leeds United, Stuart Dallas, 204 appearances for Portsmouth. Matt Taylor, hello. And very happy to be joined by the Portsmouth manager, John Mousinho. Great day for a big, big game in front of these home fans. How much are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I think the fixture, one of the big fixtures at the start of the season, you look out, I mean, first day of the season we had Leeds away, obviously you were there, and I think, yeah, one of the other big ones here is going to be this fixture, so everybody's been really excited about it, the fact it's on TV, the fact it's an early kickoff on Sunday, and yeah, the fact that, both sides have got so much to play for. I think everybody's really looking forward to it.
Good form of late as well to take into the match. How confident are you feeling today?
Yeah, I think we've had very, very good form at home, and we managed to pick up an away win a couple of weeks ago, and it's probably in with a couple of other decent away performances as well. But the most important thing today is obviously to make it really difficult for Leeds here at Fratton Park. That's hopefully going to be the leveller for us, because they're a fantastic team. I think by far the best team in the league, and yeah, I mean, it's going to be a really good test for us. The reason that we did what we did last season to come and test ourselves against the best sides.
Made one change today as well. Freddie Potts coming into the team for Isaac Hayden. Tell us why you've decided to make that change.
Yeah, we just wanted to freshen things up. We thought it was the best thing to do for the game today, and Fred's been excellent all season. We, lucky to have him on loan from West Ham, and yeah, very, very excited to, have him in the building, and it should be a good game for him to test himself against the best opposition in the league.
John, I just want to ask you, how challenging is it as a manager to prepare for a game and find the right balance against a team like Leeds? I've watched them a lot this season. If you try and press them, they kill you because they're so good on transitions and on the counter. If you sit in, they can smother you, and you find it really difficult to get out. How challenging is it to find the right balance in approaching a game like this?
Yeah, I found that a lot this season with a lot of the sides in the Championship, and Leeds are probably the most challenging side to prepare for, because, like you said, you press them, they've got enough to play through the lines. They get 6 on the back line really early, fullbacks really high. And yeah, very, very tough to play against from that point of view. You sit off them, they're going to find an opening as well. So I think it's about getting the right balance. We're not going to be able to press for 90 minutes, but we have to get pressure on the ball at some point and try and make it difficult for them on what is a bit of a tighter pitch. It's in good condition, but we're still going to make it, or try and make it as difficult as possible for them. So, I think that's the key. That's the key, to get the right times when we can press, the right times when we can go on the full press and leave ourselves slightly more exposed at the back, but also be solid at the right times as well.
John, what's been for you the biggest difference this season, obviously coming into the Championship with Portsmouth against last season? Obviously, you were one of the biggest and best teams in the league. What have you found the main difference this season?
There's quite a few, but I think the biggest thing that stands out, the one answer that I have, is the athleticism of the players, and they're athletic. They're quick, and they can handle the ball as well. So there's that combination of the three of them. And you speak to some managers who've been in the Premier League, and they say, well, the top players in the Champ, they can't handle the next step up as well. So it's been a big eye opener for us, and I think we took a while to adjust earlier in the season with the pace of the league and how relentless it is, and that if you make a mistake, you get punished. So yeah, the biggest thing I think is the athleticism.
That athleticism, we know, has an abundance in that Leeds forward line. You're going to try and stop them today, but you have had issues with injuries in defence. Marlon Pack's been doing a fantastic job filling in. You've had to bring in some help as well in that area with Alexander Milosevic, albeit he's not involved today. How tough is it to cope with those problems you've had at the back?
Yeah, so it's an area that we really targeted in January. So we brought Rob Atkinson in from Bristol City, Hayden Matthews over from Australia, and the two of them slotted in really well. We had Connor Shaughnessy back, who was one of our players of the season last year, and unfortunately all three of them picked up injuries within a week of each other, and so we've had to improvise. Marlon's done a brilliant job this season of filling in at the back. Regan pulls back from injury, which has been a big boost for us, and it felt like the right time to go and have a look at the free agent market. It wasn't something we were planning on doing, but we've gone out and I think we found the best option in Alexander. So we've now got options there. We've bolstered the back line, and we just have to deal with it. That's the most important thing. There are so many clubs up and down the country now with huge injury lists, and we're not unique in that. We just have to make sure we cope with it.
testing the Leeds United backline will also be on your mind today. One of your players who's been doing excellent of late is Josh Murphy. How pleased are you with his form?
I'm absolutely delighted. I played with Murph at Oxford, and it was one of the reasons that we wanted to bring him in. He'd been so good towards the back end of last season. The assists, the goals, he's really added to it. I think it's his most productive season in terms of goals and assists. And you know, there's times when he has been unplayable. So we need more of that today. The biggest thing with Murph as well is that he gives us a huge amount going the other way as well. His work rate's absolutely impeccable. He's really added a huge amount, I think, to his game. And even though he's just turned 30, I think he is definitely coming into the best years of his career.
Have you been impressed by him as well, Matt?
Yeah, I think having watched a lot of him last year and obviously seeing him come here to Portsmouth and thrive, he gets you up the pitch, John, doesn't he? You know, he's a ball carrier, he can finish. It looks to me as if, you know, he's got some real confidence at the moment, and I'm excited to see him play because I think, you know, he's going to be a big player for you today.
Yeah, and you know, he has been all season really, and you know, we are lucky to have him. Next year we'll try and sign Jacob on the other side. That's the dream. But yeah, he's been brilliant for us, and it's just about keeping him at that level, keeping him confident, keeping him fit, and seeing what he can do for the rest of the year.
Well, fingers crossed your players can give you that lift here this afternoon. Really appreciate you taking the time to join us, John.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Thanks.
And after the break, we'll turn our attention to Leeds United. The Yorkshire Giants are loving life at the top of the Championship. We'll hear from their manager, Daniel Farke, after this quick break.
Sky Bet, proud sponsors of the EFL.
The greatest of all time is not who you think. The GOAT is a horse.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is...
Get a completely free £5 bet on day one of Cheltenham with Sky Bet.
What a friend does, what a friend does to you. Through and through.
That caring friend. Every heart deserves one. Benecol, proven to lower cholesterol.
Mesmerizing. Memorable, mysterious, almost magical. Melt in the mouth, multi-layered masterpiece. Magnifique.
McVitie's signature.
Oh, McVitie's.
More than a biscuit.
Mr. Kipling, exceedingly good cakes.
If you're traveling to be surrounded by nature, don't end up surrounded by hotel. Get an Airbnb and go where hotels can't.
The Mazda CX-60. Available with 0% APR representative and a £1,200 deposit contribution when ordered before 31st of March 2025. Search Mazda. Mazda, crafted in Japan.
The new £5 meal deal from McDonald's. Cheeseburger or mayo chicken, fries, 4 chicken McNuggets, and a drink. For guess what? That's right, £5.
Flora, made from ingredients that haven't been through a cow. But is it great for baking? Cow says yes, could seem biased. Let's ask an expert.
Is that a serious question? Look at this cake.
Confirmed there by the delightful Gordon Ramsay. Flora, skip the cow.
Got the big man to score first.
And off goes the big man.
Oh, chin up. With Paddy's Super Sub, your bet rolls over to the player coming on. So now all subs are super. Super. New Super Sub from Paddy Power, and you can try out Super Sub with a completely free bet builder on Man United v Arsenal. Paddy Power.
And for Eddie Howe's men, this is magical. And Liverpool turned it around. That should finish it. And a goal to release the tension. Liverpool off to their second home in pursuit of another League Cup.
Carabao Cup final next Sunday at 3:30 on ITV1 and ITVX.
Sky Bet, proud sponsors of the EFL.
Leeds United are not only top of the Championship table, but they've just scooped up 2 awards as well. Dan James for Player of the Month for February and Daniel Farke for Manager. Let's see if the German has chosen to rotate for his trip to Fratton Park. And like John Mousinho, he makes just one change. It also comes in central midfield where Ilya Gruev replaces Joe Rothwell. That is the same starting lineup that beat Sheffield United just 2 weeks ago. So rather full strength for Daniel Farke. Let's hear from the man himself. He's with Aaron Paul.
Daniel, this is a tough test. Sunday lunchtime, these fans will bring the atmosphere, but for your side, it's simply about winning, isn't it?
Well, we respect each and every opponent. We know it's one of the toughest tests that you can face. They have a really good home record, back-to-back wins here at home. We have to be at our best today to allow ourselves a chance to win some points, and then we'll see what the outcome is.
Game against West Brom was tough, naturally. This is going to be a different test, and you bring Ilya Gruev into your midfield. Tell me about the thinking behind the team selection.
Well, we have 3 games within 6 days, so it's important also to rotate a little bit. Obviously not on 11 positions from game to game, but also what makes sense in tactical terms. And Ilya was especially in away games outstanding. So we had, he has an unbelievable point average once he's in the starting lineup. Important player with his defensive awareness, and he always covers lots of distance, so especially in the away games, very important player for us, and hopefully it's the right choice today.
For us as supporters, this title race is very, very exciting. What's it like being on the other side as manager of Leeds United?
Well, you have to enjoy the challenge and enjoy the race. That's quite important, but also to stay focused and concentrated, and also respectful in each every moment. This is what we are, and we want to be at our best today. Thank you.
So Daniel Farke very much focused on 3 points here this afternoon. Fantastic run for his side, 17 unbeaten, which is their longest run since the great Don Revie side of the early 70s. But the chasing pack are applying pressure. They'll need to make sure that doesn't affect them in this closing run. How do they do that, Stuart?
Yeah, I think he's touched on it there. They've just got to concentrate and stay focused. He's very, very calm in how he goes about things. He doesn't get too carried away when they win, and equally he doesn't get too carried away if they don't pick up points. They're in a fantastic position, but obviously with the games going the way they went yesterday, the closing pack have closed in, and this is a different challenge for them today, simply because the mentality has to be right. They can't take their eye off the ball, and they've got to come here and put on a performance, because we know how good Portsmouth are, especially at home. So if they're not on it, it could be a difficult afternoon for them.
They put on plenty of great performances of late, you have to say. There are threats everywhere in this team, even in defence. Junior Firpo at left back for the team at the moment. More goal contributions than any other defender in the division as well. What makes him so good, particularly going forward?
I think for me it's the way in which he's given the freedom to attack. John spoke about it earlier. Leeds get 6 on the back line really quickly, and when you've got the athleticism that he has, and you've got delivery, and he's given the licence, as I say, to play in an advanced role, he looks as if he's extremely confident at the moment. He's a player that is obviously very, very effective for Leeds in the way that they play.
Great tradition of Brazilian fullbacks being followed by Firpo, of course. Also threats from Jayden Bogle on the other side. The fullback's very important for Daniel Farke.
Yeah, the fullbacks in this system, the way he wants to play is really, really key. The relationships that they have with their wide men, with Brendan Aronson in the 10 as well, is huge. I've spoken recent weeks about you know, on the right, Dan James, Jayden Bogle, Brendan Aronson, the combinations that they have, and they have the same on the other side with Manor Solomon and Junior Firpo. So both fullbacks are really, really key for how he wants to play. They get high up the pitch really, really quickly. But on the flip side, that is where you can potentially hurt them if teams come and have a go. That is an area that you can expose.
Bogle backing up Dan James, Player of the Month for February. The Welshman in absolutely sensational form. He's had lots of accolades of late, assisting the last 3 goals for Leeds, as we saw just there as well. What is making him so good right now, Matt?
I think confidence. The team's winning. He's a big part of that team. What I like about him is his electric pace. If you look at the Dan James that we're watching now, I would suggest that his decision-making in the final third has gone up a level. He's a player that, as I say, when he gets into those really attacking areas of the pitch, he 9 times out of 10 makes the right decision, whether that's an assist, you know, or whether it's a goal. So he's a player that is going to cause Portsmouth problems this afternoon.
He's finally finding his feet in a Leeds United shirt. Very important indeed. I guess another surprise for them so far this season has been the incredible form of Ayo Tanaka, who actually came to the club at the start of the campaign. He starts alongside Ilya Gruev this afternoon, but what does the Japanese player bring?
He brings a bit of everything. He started, as we see here now, he started to chip in with goals as well. You know, that header there, he just doesn't panic and try and make contact. He actually guides it into the back of the net. We've seen him score a fantastic goal away at Hull as well. So he brings a calmness in the middle of the park. He always seems to have time on the ball, and no matter what midfield partnership Leeds play, he performs. He performs whether he's with Ampadu, if he played in there, whether he's with Rothwell. You know, Daniel's already alluded to, you know, the points per game ratio when both him and Gruev play together. So he's a fantastic footballer, and obviously not a lot of people knew about him before this season. I know Daniel had him on his radar last year. He really wanted him. He's got him this year, and he's proven why he wanted him.
Haven't been beaten when Gruev starts alongside Tanaka so far, Leeds United. So not truly a surprise, but would you have thought Joe Rothwell had a chance to start this afternoon?
Well, it's funny because we were talking off air about who we thought that he would play, and I thought he would have went with Rothwell simply because I expect Leeds to come here and have a lot more possession. You know, stats tell us that Portsmouth are, you know, they're down around 23rd for possession in games, so that suggests that Leeds are going to have more control of the ball, and I personally thought Rothwell would have played. But I think it's a respect thing. Daniel knows the form that Portsmouth are in here at Fratton Park, and he's gone with Gruev, who's a little bit more defensive. So you know, it's paid off when he's made changes this year, and you know, I hear him before the game saying hopefully it works today again.
Okay, we shall see if it does exactly that. Leeds suffered heartbreak, a defeat in the playoffs last year. They will have, of course, all eyes on automatic promotion this time around. Portsmouth, they need a couple more wins to feel safe in this league, so every point to play for today after the break. The teams will be out here at Fratton Park.
Sky Bet, proud sponsors of the EFL.
Welcome on board the BA 282. Coming through, prepare for landing.
Who am I? I'm the one who can be 100 different investors all at once. With eToro, I can be Grace, a global tech investor. Or Max, a German local stock specialist. I could be Jan, a passive dividend hunter. Hey, I could be David. This David. With eToro, you can be inspired by investors worldwide. Their knowledge, their strategies, all out there for the taking. Be the investor you want to be. eToro.
Cheltenham. It's a festival like no other, so it deserves proper value. It's a proper celebration of thrills, hills, decibels, and proper legends. So William Hill give you a top price guarantee against selected competitors on the first and feature race every day at Cheltenham. That's proper value from a proper bookmaker. William Hill. Cheltenham done properly.
You know that being a soldier is exciting, but what you want to know is, what's in it for me? Being able to do the sport I love, that's what's in it for me.
I like that, I want that, I need that. Gimme, 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 gimme some of that. Ooh la la. Gimme some of that. Aye, aye, aye. Gimme some of that. Ooh, gimme some of that. Gimme some of that. Gimme some of that. Make my day. Gimme some of that on Sunday.
The McCrispy.
Gimme some of that. Gimme, gimme, gimme.
Too good to ignore.
Good day.
Let's go see Jack at uni.
We can stay with him.
Better get a Travelodge. Travelodge.
For great value, king-size comfort. Better get a Travelodge.
Time. We don't have much of it, so when it comes to special time with you and your partner, don't let erection problems hold you back. From the makers of Viagra Connect comes Aberante. Up to 36 hours of freedom to choose when to have sex. So you can enjoy those last-minute getaways, kid-free weekends in, or even wild camping trips away. Ask for Aberante at your local Boots store.
Sky Bet, proud sponsors of the EFL.
Our next live football on ITV is a week today. We've got a great day lined up for you as well. First, we'll bring you the Carabao Cup final between Liverpool and Newcastle on ITV1 and STV at 3:30 p.m. And then later that evening, Atletico Madrid take on Barcelona in a top of La Liga clash on ITV4 at 7:30 p.m. So, getting very busy here inside Fratton Park. The volume's going to get higher, I'm sure, very soon as well. Matt, you know it very well from your time here as a player. What difference does it make? We know Pompey have won 8 of the last 11 league games here.
I think it's a really special place to play football. It's tight, the fans are on you. You'll be able to hear as an opposing visiting player everything that they're shouting at you. And I know it's an adage in football where the fans are the 12th man. They most definitely are here at Portsmouth, and one thing we do know is that if Portsmouth are going to get a result today, they're going to need the supporters to help them get over the line.
It means the Leeds players are going to have to keep their focus, including Illan Meslier in the Leeds goal. Those fans are going to be right behind him, letting him know, I think.
Yeah,
that's the term.
Of course they are, yeah, and you know, Leeds are well aware of that. It's a shame when teams come to Ellen Road. You know, the Leeds fans it's a hostile place to go. The atmosphere is built in here now. The Leeds fans, obviously, you can hear them in the background as well. They've come down
2,000 of them, yeah. They've
come down in large numbers. A lot of them I know travelled down yesterday. So, you know, in the sunshine and hoping for a good game, good atmosphere, and yeah, hopefully a good game.
Only 2 defeats in the league for Leeds away from home so far this season. What makes them so good on the road, and what do you expect from them in this opening period?
I expect them to come. Listen, there's promotion at stake here. I expect them to come here and take a game to Portsmouth and really go for it, try and control it from the off. You know, they're in good form. Away from home, there was talk of how poor they were away from home at the beginning of the season. They've turned that around. You know, they've been relentless in how they've dealt with teams, especially within the recent weeks. So they'll come here. Obviously, it's funny because the perception of the last 2 games has changed a little bit, because if you go to Sheffield United and you know, you draw and then you win at West Brom, you know, you think it's a good 4 points, but because it happened the other way around, the Leeds fans are starting to get a little bit anxious now, but they'll come here and fully expect to win the game.
underdog spirit from Pompey. That's what we know here. How do they harness that, the players? Because it's a big game against very tough opposition.
I think it's not a free hit, but I think it's a game where everybody outside of the Portsmouth dressing room will expect Leeds to win. But one thing I do know about this football club is that there's a never say die attitude, and that's what the players will need today. I would say John's quietly confident. Obviously, he understands that Leeds are one of the top teams in the division. But Portsmouth at home, as we proved many times when I played here, can beat anybody. So I'm really looking forward to the game.
Should be a fantastic game. Remember, it was a 3-3 draw in the reverse fixture. Let's hope for plenty of goals. The team's about to make their way out, and as ever, I'm sure Fratton Park will provide a fiery, fierce and noisy backdrop. Could be another very important championship fixture with big points at stake. Leeds United looking to extend their lead at the top, and a victory would take Pompey 10 points clear of the relegation zone, which could be absolutely vital. Let's head over to our commentary team of Lucy Ward, who's alongside Sam Matterface. Good afternoon.
Very good afternoon to you, Hugh. Hello, everyone. Yes, this is Fratton Park. So often a bouncing cauldron of noise that has provided a push to many a Pompey team. And boy, have Portsmouth's hopes of survival in the Championship been propelled by their magnificent home form. One defeat in 11 in PO4 and 8 wins in that time, which has provided hope of keeping their heads above water. But today they face the sternest test yet. Leeds United, top of the tree, arrive at Fratton Park. It has been 21 years since Portsmouth last beat Leeds at Fratton Park, but it's been even longer since Leeds escaped here with a victory. If they win this lunchtime, then they maintain that lead on top of the table. Kick-off comes next.
Right, who's been at me bickies? Thieving lot.
Hiya. Well, they didn't just walk off on their own. You're quiet, Barry. Know something?
Not me, I'm gluten-free.
Anya?
I only had one of Brian's cheese triangles.
Well, looky here. Silly me.
Yorkshire tea, where everything's done proper.
You know that being a soldier is exciting, but what you want to know is what's in it for me. Being able to do the sport I love, that's what's in it for me.
Fratton Park is the latest stop on the road that Leeds hope takes them back to the Premier League. John Mousinho at this moment is without 9 players in the Portsmouth team. Daniel Farke knows that a largely settled team can come here today and cause this Portsmouth side problems. Well, that's what they'll hope anyway. New signing Alex Milosevic isn't ready to start, so captain Marlon Pack makes his 17th start at centre-back, having spent most of his career in midfield. Regan Paul starts alongside him. The experienced Matt Ritchie and Josh Murphy will look to create opportunities for Colby Bishop, who creates a lot more trouble here at home. The only question on the Leeds team sheet, which is largely settled now, is whether or not Gruev would come in to add a little bit of solidarity in midfield alongside Tanaka. That is what happens. They make just the one change from the draw with West Brom. Watch out for the introduction, though, of Ramazani and Nonto late on to give Pompey something else to think about. Rob Jones is the referee, and he is encountering Fratton Park for the first time. Colby Bishop leading the line for Portsmouth, who only returned to action after heart surgery in November. Joel Peru has more championship goal involvements than any other player in this division. Former Leeds striker Lucy Ward is with me. How do Portsmouth stop them like they've stopped so many others?
Yeah, Portsmouth are absolutely flying at home. I think Leeds will be confident of coming away without a loss. However, they've taken points, Portsmouth, at home against big teams, the likes of Sheffield United and Burnley in this division. So they're certainly very, very positive, full of energy and full of intensity at home.
Pompey have beaten Coventry. Middlesbrough avoided defeat here in those big games like that against Burnley. And there is no tougher proposition, as John Mousinho knows, than Leeds United. A fixture that impacts both ends of the table. And as you've already been told today, these two played out a thrilling 3-3 draw at Ellen Road at the beginning of the season. Let's hope for a similar level of entertainment this lunchtime.
Yeah, I think because it's a tight ground with fans really close to the pitch, they just get the fans' momentum with these Portsmouth players.
Ball went out over on the far side. It's going to be a Leeds United throw. And Leeds unbeaten in the Championship since Blackburn stifled them at Ewood Park. Portsmouth's only defeat here since November was when Millwall produced a backs-to-the-wall performance here at the end of January. Counter-attacked with pace to nick the only goal of the game.
And then one of the impressive things about John Mousinho is that he's adapted how he plays football, because he found it difficult, his team found it difficult with the quality of the opposition in the Championship. They had a tough start, but he's changed how he plays, started getting results, and it's impressive how far away from relegation they are at this stage.
Well, they started the season as they finished last. They won League One largely by playing out from the back, passing game, dominating possession. They've had to be a little bit more pragmatic the longer the season has gone on, and it's certainly worked to their advantage. Solomon. Here's Ilian Meslier being pursued by Bishop. Bogle looking for the run of Peru. Smith's starting position was an assertive one.
Yeah, Leeds' strengths certainly down in the wide areas. They've got 4 excellent wide players, including the likes of Solomon and James. At the start today, James has been absolutely unbelievable. Really a Premier League player playing in the Championship.
It's a bit of a battle of the wing wizards today, isn't it, really, with Josh Murphy, 6 goals and 9 assists in the Championship this season. And his recent form has been pretty lively. Daniel James has thrived under Daniel Farke. In his last 8 games, he's racked up 4 goals and 6 assists. That's what you call a purple patch. Schmidt looking for Murphy, and it might just come all the way through to him after Bogle just didn't anticipate that pass.
Yeah, just gone beyond the ball, hadn't he, Bogle? Murphy just trying to use his pace against Rodon. Rodon dealt with it well. Ramsden's flags up anyway.
Pascal Struijk. Third start in a row for Pascal Struijk, who's been missing for a knee injury issue for quite some time. Given away by Tanaka. Ritchie. It's Marlon Pack seeing the ball all the way back to his goalkeeper. Pack playing at centre-back alongside Regan Paul today, Lucy. I mean, it's a new position for him relatively. I mean, 17th appearance, or 17th start there this season. But prior to this season, I can only find 2 editions where he'd played at centre-half in the entirety of his career, and that was when he was at Cardiff about 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, I think that because they've had such terrible injuries centre-back and in defence, I think he's a leader, and so I think it's really key that you have someone out there who's a calming influence on the rest of the group. I think he wouldn't want to be caught in a foot race with players, but I just think his positioning is so good that, you know, at times he just looks like a natural centre-back.